but we, as 4 young men, we will not eat. We'll go on a special diet. And it came to pass that when they were tested, they were found to be 10 times more skilled, brighter than everybody else in what they were taught, but even in terms of everything. And because of that, God's favor on them, they were promoted. Wow. So they were promoted and sent. And then the king get up into himself. That's what I call it. And says, look at what I've done. I'm going to set up this statue. This is in Daniel 3. And says to them, when you hear the music, you know the music I play hard. Because the music represents the distraction. The music represents the thing, everything that is just not right. When you hear the music playing, I want you to bow. Do you know that that statue was like a 10-story building?
Oh yes,
It was a
monument. The monument.
Yes, it was a 10-story building. So if we are here and we're looking into where we are now, we could look and you'd see it just standing up. And it was really a point of where will Minute worship anyway? Where are you going to worship, Mr. Producer? Where are you going to worship, Mr. Engineer? Who are you going to worship?
Those are rhetorical questions. Please don't answer.
Where are you going to worship and who are you going to worship?
Oh, Lord.
Telling us, where are you going to worship? And I like how they responded to what he said. With all the music playing, these guys are favored. They are in the public service, actually. And they probably would have been permanent secretaries. You know that? Mm-hmm. Or governors at the bank, because when he go through what he lists, the treasurers, the governors, the secretaries, everybody, and they says, well, we have served you well, but I want you to understand this. Are we not listening to King? We're not listening to King Nebuchadnezzar. We're not going to do that simply because you have drawn a line in the sand for us. And even if it means, we know that the God we serve, he can do something, But even if he does not deliver us, we're still not going to bow. And the question that I asked to us as Jamaicans, where ultimately will we worship as people of God? Those who say that we are God-fearing. Yesterday, myself and Mike spoke about that. Mm-hmm. You talked to a lot of Jamaicans, and you've been on the street.
Me?
Yes, man. You've been on the street. Remember, part of the thing, you'd go on the street and talk to people, and most Jamaicans say, "Me God-fearing,
Oh, you mean?
Yes.
You mean when I do outreach?
Yes, when you do outreach. Yes, when you go on the streets. You go on the streets doing outreach. You say, "Me God-fearing,
Yeah. All right, so what would you like me to weigh in on? Because I have a whole different thing going on in my head concerning what happened here. But tell me what you want me to weigh in on.
No, I'm just laying that and saying, and then they says, we're not going to, we know God can take us through, but even if he don't, we're still not going to worship. And then the miracle happens for them that even the king says, wow.
Yeah.
This is something significant.
All right. So there are a couple of things, and it slides right into what's preoccupying my mind this morning. We are always talking about governance, how the leaders whom we elect and to whom we give the authority to do various things, how they carry out the tasks which are necessary to keep a country in a prosperous mode. Because, let's face it,
that's what they're there
that is the objective. You mentioned this scripture. It's in Daniel chapter 3 for those who... I just went to it because...
Daniel 1, Daniel 3.
As you spoke about the decision, whom do you worship? And you mentioned the trigger to bow down and worship. The king wanted, when you hear music, When you hear the sounds that bring joy to your spirit, that lighten the heart, the sound that puts you in a festive mood, when you hear those sounds, for those on whom it has an impact, those persons are to bow down and worship. Now, the reason I said those on whom it has an impact is because some people don't hear the music. Some of us are so wrapped up in our own struggles and trials and so on that we're never where music is being played. We avoid it. It's like sometimes we're talking some things here, and you and I are in a joyous mode, and people say, "Why you laugh? There's nothing to laugh about." You know, the one or two callers who believe that our refusal to be overwhelmed and beaten down by the enormity of the challenges, that kind of reaction suggests we're taking it lightly. So there are some people who do not allow any joy into their space during the time of struggle. Those persons, I pray for you. And we're going to talk about that separately. But the idea that a king would want to receive your worship when your spirit is light and gladdened and you are feeling happy about the world is exactly what God desires from us too. That when we see the beauty of things and our hearts are gladdened by something beautiful or wonderful,
it should pull us toward.
It should draw us to Him. So this move by King Nebuchadnezzar to have people worship him when they are happy, let's put it that way, is a definite direct assault and putting himself up then against what the Creator wants of us. So I found that significant because we know that music, worship, it's the way you use praise and worship to usher in the presence of God.
When you are ushering something else.
Something the man was up to. Okay. For those three boys who were singled out for their disobedience, they, as you and I do every day, they have had to confront which way do you choose, which way do you go when you see something that has set itself up against
everything
that you know and believe. And we know how they chose. You and I need to be of a similar mindset in recognizing what certain things really represent when they are put to us for consent or adoption, and to have the strength of character to make the choice in a direction that favors you long term. It might threaten your life, your health, your livelihood right now, today, but the greater threat is when you turn your back on the thing you know to be true and the thing that you know to be right. So, I mean, just looking at what you have set up, I can see that listeners who are constantly in a struggle and need to be able to recognize what is a real threat against their very soul, their eternal existence, because we're spirit beings and spirit beings are eternal beings. The bodily encasement, the flesh that we inhabit, is temporary.
It's not the end.
And it's when it dies, it's not the end of us.
Jesus says, be fearful of he who is able to take out both.
Absolutely. The man who can cut your hand and let it bleed, or, make you struggle for food or feel pain, or, you're homeless for a season. That the man who can do that to you, don't mind him, because his power is limited no matter how much your body is crying for relief and for comfort. Believe me, the greater danger is to that invisible but eternal part of your identity. That's why the search for identity is so crucial. When you can recognize your true identity, it gives you a different perspective on how to assess and respond to certain threats. But you went into some issues as you spoke about Daniel and the treatment that the Hebrews received in the court of this foreign king. They're in Babylon. And I want to remind you, Percival, that when you study the scripture, you see the people that are taken captive, the first pick of any invading nation,
It's the top.
the royal, the priests. So, those of you who are, broke down and at the bottom of it, do not fret that the Chinese are going to take you off to China. Nobody invades a country and take those who are at the bottom of the heap. They take from the royal courts. They take the princes of the land. Because important to the understanding of this is the war, the military engagement, when it is completed, is only the first step. Do you know, as we are suffering under the same trauma, the enslavement of a people is not the enslavement of the body. It is the enslavement of the mind for generations and generations and generations, where 400 years after slavery, you still automatically assume that a person of a certain color is better than you, is more entitled than you, is more deserving than you. That is what the real war is about. And today we are still trying to shake off the vestiges of colonialism. Oh my gosh. A lawyer of over 50 years experience died, and when I picked up the paper and read the Chief Justice's words of condolence, he was calling the man King's Counsel. I don't think that man served as King's Counsel at all, because for all of his active career, he was Queen's Counsel. But we are so faithful to the nonsense that even at a man's point of death, we are going to place against his name something that is of another time and place.
I'm wondering.
And, by the way, my condolences, of course. I knew Mr. Henriquez. I was junior lawyer. He was always senior. When I read that,
Senior.
Senior. But, he was one of those persons that when he spoke on an issue, people listened, not only because of his erudition, but his seniority, the experience
that he has
had. And for all the time I knew of him, he was Queen's Counsel, because the Queen was sitting on the throne. So the idea that in his death, at the time of his death, he's being recognized, he's being spoken of as King's Counsel. I'm like, I don't think Mr. Henriquez would have practiced as King's Counsel, not for a day. But we are so slavish in our adherence to that protocol that even in death, we're sticking it on the man's name. Every case in which he has been active and so on, that is recorded, you would see QC. And on his gravestone, if his family wants it that way, they would put KC. That doesn't make sense.
But they do.
But it's how stupid it is. No. And I only mention it to bear out my point that the invading nation, the oppressive force, seeks to capture your mind for generations. So they took off the royal house. And as you said, the best of the best. So it wasn't even just,
anybody.
The Adelbrain cousin who
no.
is royal.
no, they took
him have on the clothes, but him not have the brain power.
Nobody really
took off the best.
The very best. Because when you listen to that, versed in knowledge, yes. Good looking, everything, the best of the best.
The checklist.
Yes,
it's was what there. You young women would say, I am seeking a husband. The finest.
No, what it? But that.
So they capture the finest minds, and let me tell you,
that's what they say.
When you get your constitution, after they have taken the finest of your nation and put them through their schools, given them the scholarships and the different inducements, carry them off to their colleges in foreign lands where, you're there with your different colored skin and you are convincing yourself that you are equal to whatever is going on and you're deserving and you're entitled. I don't know. Or maybe when you're there, you're subjected to every type of offense that the human spirit can bear, and you come back highly educated but brutally damaged in the spirit.
Beaten in spirit. Beaten down in spirit.
Absolutely. So, and you may take unto yourself a foreign wife, and try to assimilate the culture and the
Isn't that
ideas.
what a lot
Of course.
It's what happened to a lot of that generation.
Of that generation.
And still is happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and then you see the truth of it being revealed when you discover that they didn't even keep a record of your presence in the country. So later on, somebody will just deport you or throw you out as an illegal alien.
Because of what happened with
Because they never, absolutely, they never had the intention to treat you as an equal. They were simply carrying you into their house in order to draw you over to their side, but only as an enslaved person.
But you look like your Michael was reading off at the same. No, it's interesting.
But Michael is my brother at the heart, so
yeah,
there's little likelihood that we would see it
in terms of education.
Yeah.
That's a point he's being at. He says to describe. He says, remember, what we got was a system that was about building their empire, not about
never
us.
about us. Yeah.
And him said, but we still hold on to it. And said there are some but few good things. And him said, this is a challenge that any leaders have to cut loose on that, because it was, we say, plantation economy.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept saying, well, the truth is, they might operate the same way. It was just that the house slave has become...
Now has the key.
Yes.
Now has the key.
And
but the mind is still against the welfare and the well-being
of every Jamaican. Yeah.
Yeah. I told you, Pastor Percival, that our whole economy is built on a financial theory that the value of the Jamaican worker
don't mean nothing.
Is zero or minus. I say minus because they have to educate you. So when they educate you, you come to the table owing them for 4 years of education. Then they have to pay you a salary and keep you at just that point of impoverishment that you don't seek to escape the bonds. And you are so attached to whatever meager benefits you are enjoying that you don't want to leave. But you know what? I am strengthened and anointed to break that yoke.
Because it's...
What say you?
Yes.
We declare fire on it.
Yeah, because we know, and interestingly, Mrs. Harrison was in the studio with us last week, Wednesday. She came.
I missed that. Percy.
She came. And right after she came, she was in the newspaper again, because it looked like they're taking the government to court about this compensation.
Yes, I saw that. I was kind of watching the news.
But she kept saying, no, she's being consistent, What is our philosophy of education? Mm-hmm. What is it going to do for us? And then she just brought some things to bear. Like she pointed out and says, that is why I did a content analysis on the newspaper on the 2nd of July, in terms of the teaching. So on the 2nd, there were 29 schools needing 260 teachers. Mm-hmm. On the 9th of July, there were 23 schools needing another 200 and something.
So it was now 400?
Yeah, 400 teachers in 2 weeks. Yes, and it's not the same schools.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I've looked at what happened yesterday, because I've asked my daughter just to go through and just check it off and see what is happening. And then even in our family, church family, we've been telling people bye-bye, husband and wife gone.
Yeah. So let's look at it in perspective, because when we speak of it in the context of governance, it may seem that it is the government that is at fault or need to do something or whatever. Sure, there are policy issues. We're hard up on 7 o'clock, so I don't want to introduce anything too new right now. But I just want to lay it out on the table here that is our problem. The children who are going to be disadvantaged by this drought are our children. Mm-hmm. The nation and the economy that is going to stagger and stall is our economy.
It's our Jamaica.
And to the extent that there are princes and highborns and high officials who could make a policy to change things around and they are not doing so, please remember that when the revolution comes, they are going to be the first ones to go, whether because they are taken or they have the wealth to run. We are the ones going to be here tending the soil and needing to make the change. So when we return from the 7 o'clock break, I'm gonna focus our attention in a it's a direction. It's not a new direction. It's an ancient direction, but the knowledge was lost, and we have to be restoring it in bits and pieces so that our nation can rally and survive. We'll take the break now, Pastor Percival. Ah. You're simply the best. You're simply the best.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
It's Vaughn.
And Twyla.
And we're here with what you need to know this week, Wink.
With a Y.
So you wonder how people in other countries feel knowing that they aren't Jamaican. I mean, so we're just different with our Jamaicanness, don't it? We're just extra.
Yeah, we've been extra. And I think I get what you're saying, though, because, we're popping, we're hot, we're very hot right now. Anyways, and thousands of people are coming here to experience it for themselves. So much so that there are lines at the airport. It's kind of hard not to be able to hype about it, as a Jamaican. I get it.
Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says we're poised to have a record number of tourist visitors this summer, within the region of like 1.2 million visitors set to come within the period from June to August, and bring in revenue of some like 1.5 billion with a B.
Whoa. And not to mention all the celebrities that have been here just this year alone. Now, I have to take a big breath for this, so sit with me, people. Angelina Jolie, Omarion, Chance the Rapper, Cardi B and Offset, 2 Chainz, Dua Lipa, Michael Douglas, and Catherine Zeta-Jones, John Amos, and of course, Burna Boy, who seems like him plan to get dual citizenship at this point, cause him there everywhere.
Exactly.
They're all about to play it.
Yeah, I kind of see why we're so hype as a people. I mean, it's like we're the cool kids in the class. Everybody want to part with me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now just imagine what Jamaica could be if we could make the crime and violence a thing of the past. People, and by people, I mean, out there plotting criminal activities right now.
And I couldn't agree with you more. And just imagine how much money we could start bringing to this country if people really and truly started to feel safe to go anywhere they wanted to. Everybody could benefit.
I'm optimistic that we'll get there one day. You know what I mean? Yeah. Mm-hmm. In other news now, so when you go buy the AC unit where you promised me that time, that definitely happened in real life.
But when you see me dying... Vaughn.
Definitely happened in real life. I'm just saying.
Look here. Apparently, I have selective amnesia. And it's acting up right now because I really do not remember that hush here. Okay, we can get one ice mint. That's the iciest thing I'll get from me.
But, that's supposed to help me deal with these record high temperatures that we are experiencing lately. That are
going to cool down your mouth.
No.
It's true. Anyways, do like what the health minister has been promoting lately now. Stay hydrated and minimize the amount of time you spend outside in the hot temperatures. This especially goes if you work outside in the hot sun, like our construction workers and farmers. The combination of high temperatures and prolonged sun exposure can pose serious health risks like heat stress, heat stroke, all kind of heat crosses. We don't avoid it, please.
It's very true, right? And parents, make sure to monitor the children. You have to look for signs like lethargy, headache, dizziness, feeling faint, nausea, vomiting, altered mental state, and other things like that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The heat can get really intense, and before you know it, bad things can start happening. So pay attention to the kiddies.
He's absolutely right. So let's protect ourselves from the heat, guys, because we're not expected to get any relief till around September. Now, in other news, I think parents of students in rural Jamaica are looking at Transport Minister Darrell Vaz with a little interest right now.
Yeah, I know why. I mean, not too long ago, he announced that they are seriously looking at implementing a rural school bus system, which I have to agree is badly needed.
You see, as a country girl, yes, it is badly needed. Mm-hmm. In rural areas, children have to travel really long distances and they often get overlooked because their fare is much less, and how recklessly some taxis and buses drive. Me, I tell you first-hand experience, but know how the thing go. I'm actually sure a lot of parents will be happier with knowing the kids have a more reliable option.
So before we get out of here, I just want to remind you to get on the JCDC website and social media pages to check out the entries from this year's Festival Song Competition finalists. As usual, the public will have a say in the winner, so get your voices heard. I know which one I like, but I'll keep it to myself.
Well, me not tell you my favorite neither. So, let me see my try square win now, and then we'll talk.
No worry, I soon tell you mine. I just kind of want to listen back and make sure it's really my favorite. I have to support the thing and do the thing right, you know what I mean?
That is true. That is true. And that is it for Wink today, guys. If you have comments, send us an email to radio@jis.gov.jm. You can also connect with us on Twitter at JIS News.
Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at JIS Voice and interact with us on Facebook at Jamaica Information Service. Until next time, I'm Vaughn.
And I'm still Twyla, reminding you that knowledge is power, so stay in the know.
A production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
Zongo zongo go zongo zeng. Zongo zongo go zongo zeng. I'm getting married in the morning. Hey, this is King Yellowman. And remember, the 31st of July. Remember, original, black and white, featuring Sniper International, with the man called DJ Kippo, DJ Snow, DJ Toppy, and it's gonna be at the Savage Pen Sport Complex off Garden Town Road. I found my trail. Yeah, man, big up. Make it a date. Don't be late. 31st of July.
Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. God is good. This is a radio pastor and friend, Reverend Simon Peter Jones, inviting you, my friends, to listen every Tuesday evening on Best 100 FM at 7:30 p.m. for the program The Voice of Hope, as we extend hope to the hopeless in this dying world. God is good. Be encouraged. Hope is in the Lord.
What should a taxi service do for you? On-Time Taxi Service is more than just a ride to the other side of town. They offer clean and spacious vehicles, reliable service, and promise to always look out for their customers. They'll come when you call and take you where you want to go on time.
You can call us at 926-3866.
We are something special on the road.
Miss Wires. Greetings. I go by the name of Miss Wires. Catch me on Best 100. I will be discovering the greatness of Jamaica and Jamaicans through people, places, and things, home and abroad. Playing you some good music, along with interviewing artists, soundmen, producers, and Jamaicans making a difference all over the world. So catch me between the hours of 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. Monday to Thursday on Best 100 FM.
I saw you stepping from across the street, smiling happily with everyone.
Best 100 FM presents the Mature and Moving Up Show, Lascelles Butch Chen, on Thursdays from 6 to 9 p.m. Welcome to this pioneering radio program on our continuing work in our maturing years. Compellingly defined, educate and liberate the younger generation. Tune in and welcome.
Arbitrary, 100, arbitrary. Bossy, how you do I take taxi start?
Chano, I want to tell you, say, at 2 months now, my transmission mash up, and I check everybody and can't hear nothing positive.
You hear me? You waste all that time I shop down and never call the experts. Winters Auto have them. Them have over 35 years of experience and them diagnose your problem and get back your transmission brand new. For them service excellent and efficient. Trust me, man. You hear me? Call them at 929-7040. or go to them at 106 Maxfield Avenue, Kingston 13 and talk directly to the boss. Just tell them I'm me send you.
You big star. Yeah, man. Respect my boss.
Try calling him, cause trust me.
Ah, what a relief.
For a better choice in all your electrical supplies, A, authorized 3M dealer and better brand names. B, better service including free island-wide delivery. C, all major credit and debit cards accepted. It's ABC Electrical Sales. Shop number 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We make your electrical jobs as easy as ABC. Call 754-3825-8 or fax 754-3659. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice.
Veteran Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Hagley Park Road. Veteran Printers, your best choice in printing.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
Welcome back. All right, before we took the break, Pastor Percival had raised the very naughty but important issue concerning education and Mrs. LaSancha, Mrs. Harrison had been in studio during my absence, and she repeated some things with which I am in full agreement. I did notice that the teachers are taking an issue to the court to address matters pertaining to salary.
The salary, the compensation review, and what has emerged. And, but to me, the greater issue, that's one thing. But another thing is, she keeps saying it. What is our philosophy of education, how important it is? And different people have said it. But if we don't settle that issue in the minds of all of us, as we move forward, we're going to continue to have it. How much do we value the right education of our people?
I said to you as we're taking the break that it is not a government issue in its entirety.
It's
sure,
issues.
Policy can make a huge difference because policy drives where resources go and how priorities are set. But at the end of the day, it's our issue, meaning as parents, as the children, as the students, all the stakeholders in the business of education are the ones who are responsible for setting a course.
For setting policy as you...
I said set a course because policy in the government sense will come out of the ministry. But there are many times that the ministry may not itself be sure of what they're doing, or they might be doing something that is at odds with what people are thinking. And we, on the people side, ignite a process to bring things in alignment.
That's what I'm saying, because you remember we've had this discussion here when you pointed out where it becomes policies, because you've been trying to do it in terms of the exchange and
the social arena,
and it not working,
and it not catch,
and so it moves the policy. But then what?
And then when it flounders at policy, it becomes law.
Yes. And so whether we like it or not, in our present reality as human beings, I guess my kept saying, you know, you either reward or you punish, but that is how it works in terms of.
That's what man can do.
Yeah.
But we serve a supernatural God
but
who is a multi-system God and can do many things outside of the old carrot and donkey.
I may understand that, but that's still, but still we are the persons who have to come up with it with the revelation that God gives us, that we can now be inspired to do what is right. So yeah, but that's where I'm in terms of a lot of other things. When we've stepped away from the revelation that God has given to us at the very beginning in terms of how we must be, then we fall to the knowledge of good and evil, which is our own doing. When He must say, if you stay in relationship with me, everything good enough. But when you move to knowledge of good and evil, where you do things based on information, you're in a serious thing.
So here's what I would say to Miss Lasandra, who only has a few more months left in her tenure.
About 2 months.
In her term,
21st of August when she hands over. But she still, as she explained to us, is part of the presidential court. Elect,
yes,
incumbent, and then the one who's outgoing. Yes.
Which is their way of trying to stand by the law of the Medes and Persians.
That's interesting that you have said that, but it's true that
they're trying to maintain continuity by keeping the various personalities engaged in the process at all times. So it's like you never die. It continues to exist. But what I would say to her, with the anointing that she carries, and I am deliberate in my word, some persons might say she has charisma and influence, but we know that all power, and using a basic definition of power as the ability to shift or to influence the decision making of others. That enablement come from the throne of God. So the anointing that she have, her ability to persuade and to convey and to change others, I would say to her, use it to impose, another deliberately chosen word, impose a philosophy on the policymakers. An organization like the JTA, 27,000 of them, have the ability to create or really to record, to articulate the policy and the priorities by which they will be guided in carrying out their job. And if they create it and the government say, where are you going with that? They have the ability, because they're the ones in the trenches. This is a rare, they're in an excellent, rarefied position, because they are both the thinkers and the doers. The teachers are out there on the front line. They must every day approach their job with a clear idea on what it is they need to accomplish. The principals, the senior teachers, and so on, they're the ones who set policy in the field. Yes, they should be guided by what they're getting out of the ministry. But if you are getting nonsense out of the ministry, you don't just go and replicate that in the classroom and say, well, a ministry says so. No.
But that is a challenge when you talk to a lot of them that they...
So you see now, they are the three Hebrew boys again.
Because...
That's the position we were talking about earlier now with the three Hebrew boys. When something comes down to you, which challenges in a fundamental way the truth as you know it, you can put aside what you know and say, well, ministry said we do that. Oh, no.
And that is
ministry would have to come down here and can do it that way themselves. We got to get that attitude.
No, I heard that it was a principal that was running a school that was giving peer problems. And she did some actions on the ground in order to instill order in the school.
Yes.
And the ministry officials came in and she said to them, "We're going to come run the school."
Absolutely. And she must be prepared to pack up her handbag and her pumps.
Yeah, she says to them, no, I heard the story. And she said, all right, I'm having these problems. I'm trying to
doing my best in the way I know how.
And them come and say, and she says, I'm going to come run the school. You know, say she never hear another word from them.
Let me tell you, man. You see, That is that is the spirit to which I am referring when I say each of you, when you come to your Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego moment, you got to know how to choose.
Yeah, because
and be fearless in it.
Yeah, and you know, some of the in having discussion, these were senior teachers in their school. 20 years gone. 20 years gone. Just like that.
So when you see that happening, and that's why I said, you know, when you see that happening, you know that individuals came to a moment of choice when they chose self. You're gonna choose self when you have nothing to stand. There's nobody standing for you.
Yes.
And you don't have the numbers in your own little to make a difference.
And
so that's what I would say to Miss Lasanja. Declare your own state of war on the system that is frustrating your efforts to give good service.
No, but
believe me, the day will come when your vote will matter and somebody will say, you know what, I got to make sure these people are happy.
Yeah, but let's understand politics. It's three persons.
You call the word
politics. And bringing Michael why make him understand the processes. He says there's a police, teachers, the nurses. You don't hear any squeak out of the police, you know.
Yeah, the police have gone.
No, the only recent thing is that the chairman saying the courts has declared that we need to be paid overtime, and in the paper saying yes,
so the ruling came down.
Yes, and them said, and then the minister of finance has said we've set the system in place. So them said make mountain come. I want to pay the man them.
So they have leverage now.
So there's that, but a wise man said to me, no. The government would do things with the teacher and the nurses, but then not touch the policeman them because they know it come when election time come, which is an unfortunate reality. Because, and then he said this to me, he says, in Argentina, when Argentina ran out of money, it's an actual thing, because you know him studied that. And him saying what the president did, he make sure he pay the army.
Of course, because he has to stay in power. He
said, Michael, you're serious? So
no, that's why I said to you, they have guns. Those guns are very important. The man who controls the army and the media runs the country. They can tell you any foolishness you hear it on radio and it is law. And as long as they have the guns make a difference. It was the guns that they brought out against Carousel. Hey, Carousel is very important in this nation, you know.
The guns came out.
You bring out guns against a business. You must understand. There is a story. There's a story. It might be one of the fables, but there was a Turkish king, it is said, who declared war against a sandstorm. I see, I caught you there. The storm raged so long and destroyed so many things in the country. The king was at his wit's end and he sent out the army. I must find the true reference to it because I read of it I read of it somewhere else. But each time I think about it, I said, yes, when you don't know what to do, you go for violence. You go for brute force. And so, yes, that was the experience. The story was, you know, it is, I can't tell you, maybe nonsense, but
he sent out the army against that son.
He sent out the army against, kind of know what else to do, he has thrown everything at it. So that was what happened with Carousel. They sent out men with guns.
Oh, jeez.
So you do get to that place where the only resort you have is the guns. So the police can write their own ticket if they choose to. But you understand now that in order for the police to do that, you need men and women of a certain character, of the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego character. Or not necessarily Gideon, because Gideon was hiding in the wine press.
No, but men who have character.
You need a certain militancy to your personality that you would say to the government, these are my demands. I will be in building X.
No,
and one of the reasons I think why you see the government trying to merge the police and the army is to use one to neutralize the other. Because usually the army beholden to the queen waiting for orders to go to war or the king. The army usually operate at a different level, but nowadays, have you noticed that they're looking like one?
Yeah, because they put the army on the road without any police and doing their thing.
Yes.
But it's insignificant that you said that Tanaka enlightened last year raised it. He says, why is it
they're militarizing the police?
Yes, and giving the army so much thing. But but there's something that I sent to you.
Yes.
We need to comment on it.
All right, let me pull it up. Let's take turns. On the news last night, it was reported that there has been brewing in the back rooms of the diplomatic community a certain imbroglio between government of Jamaica and the United States of America. Now, you must understand that Minette Lawrence and I dare say Lowell Lawrence have very strong feelings about anything happening in the diplomatic realm between the government of Jamaica and the government of the United States of America. And the reason that is so is that we are still in possession of certain documents in which the government of Jamaica was lining up certain citizens of Jamaica in their gun sites at the behest of the United States government. And from that time, I went on record saying, citizens of Jamaica are entitled to every protection from their own government against various actions which breach domestic law by any foreign government. In other words, you're sitting here in St. Andrew, Jamaica.
You're talking about sovereignty.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Sovereignty. So they
absolutely
sovereignty.
So we are a sovereign nation, and there is a space in the diplomatic community in international law where sovereign nations, all equal in their sovereignty, come together to negotiate arrangements that can be for the benefit of their respective nations. So, I don't know if you remember this, but when we were covering issues pertaining to Akompong and government of Jamaica, and if you take a look at the treaty under which the Maroons were ceded their sovereignty by the UK, the United Kingdom, or the monarch of England
So
at
they're
the time.
sovereign in that area.
Sovereign. In that treaty was a provision for an ambassador
Yeah.
to live, establish a presence in the Maroon in Akompong. So even that ancient document, which some of us in Jamaica want to treat as being irrelevant,
Don't even know about.
and don't even know about it, even from those ancient times, it was recognized that sovereign nations allow foreigners, let's put it that way, to be a part of their state so that you can have communication, cultural understanding, and so on as you navigate the common areas. We looked at Nebuchadnezzar, King Nebuchadnezzar, setting up his court, drawing from the nations which he had conquered. He drew from those nations the finest minds to bring them into his court. And it is not just
colonization.
It is a part of colonization that you bring them into your culture and you learn more from them about their culture so that when you are dealing with their people, you have a sensitivity of what might work, what won't work, and certainly what can make your colonial efforts more successful. Well, I bring it today. We have many embassies, consulates, high commissions. Many foreign emissaries are in Jamaica, and Jamaica has sent out quite a few herself. The effectiveness of those persons in the environment they work depends on many things, but most of all, the might of the country who has sent them out is perhaps their greatest weapon, asset, tool, whatever you want to call it. So now we know that America has presented papers to our Foreign Affairs Ministry for
Accreditation.
privileges to be granted to a diplomat who has a same-sex partner.
Mhm.
Okay. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, a certain Mr. Tomlinson has taken a constitutional matter before the courts, arguing that to maintain laws that would criminalize the sexual activity between same-sex partners is a breach of our Constitution. And I got the signal to take the 7:30 break because this is too big an issue to be rushed. And Pastor Percival and I have plenty to say about it. Would you agree?
Well, I know what I'm going to say.
Excellent. The teams are ready to go. Please, we'll be right back. 7:30.
Half a tree. One already, 200. Ready, mama. Is this the confusion you feel when trying to work your way through medical systems in Jamaica? Try a dose of Ask Dr. Mary every Thursday at 5 to 6 p.m. Let Dr. Mary help you understand your medical problems and bring you to a calmer place.
Getting fired when you tune into Vent, brought to you by Via Express Couriers. This and every Wednesday at 5 p.m. on Best 100 FM. Hear from some of Jamaica's top entrepreneurs. Get updates on deals and upcoming events, tips for business, and pure vibes. Vent, a safe space for discussion. Make a chat, no man.
Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. God is good. This is already pastor and friend, Reverend Simon Peter Jones, inviting you, my friends, to listen every Tuesday evening on Best 100 FM at 7:30 p.m. for the program, The Voice of Hope, as we extend hope to the hopeless in this dying world. God is good. Be encouraged. Hope is in the Lord.
Ew, baby, you sick? Drink this.
Strong back tonic wine. But baby, you look like you want to sort out.
You think that's all Trangback good for? This delicious tonic wine has natural ingredients like Busy, Medina, Moringa, and more to strengthen your body so you can fight off anything, including viruses. Where it sounds like you get. Available island-wide, all foreign. Order at 749-1286 option 1 or IG Trangback TW. Trangback.
Straighten your back for me. Yeah.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
It's good. It's better. But nothing beats.
Welcome back. May I just welcome any person who's joining us for the first time this morning. You've been turning your dial and you happen to hear the soulful tones of Percy's voice. And
soulful tone of Percy's voice.
Yeah, man, Percy's radio voice is kicking it. And maybe you heard, that there's a lady in the studio with him, and you lingered and discovered that you have joined the Morning Connection. I just want to welcome you. I am expecting our family to grow and grow and grow because we serve a God of multiplication.
It has grown.
And everything that he touches, he can't resist it. That's just his character. He multiplies. 5 fishes, 5,000 people. And so it goes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So before we took the break, we were leading into this situation, which has been brought into the news. And so you and I, as ordinary citizens, have to form a view on it. And, I don't believe that there's any issue touching and concerning your nation's business, which is for other people, but not for you. I believe that it is all of us who need to be interested and join the conversation and make sure we have a right understanding of the issue.
Right. The first point you raised was the issue of sovereignty.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead. So those are the issues that.
So sovereign nations have the right without question or restraint to take decisions in accordance with what is the right priority for their nation.
Mm-hmm.
But this sovereignty, just like how you have your fundamental rights and freedoms as an individual, this sovereignty is meaningful only within a context where others in your community are not affected or are, I don't want to say okay with it because that minimizes it a bit, but just understand that you exist in an international community. Trade is important. A righteous relationship with your neighbors is important, and all of that.
Let me they talk about sovereign, but what we have been used to in terms of international diplomacy is that might, it seemed it always.
No, don't say that, because Jamaica is influential in many areas.
But in terms,
are you talking about military might, economic might?
Economic might. Whatever might it is, some of the times is what wins in the end, even though what is right and wrong according to the principles is get lost in it, because we can think of a lot of things that have happened and it was because
all right,
economic or the military might.
Let me pull you away from the ledge.
The ledge?
Because you started this morning speaking of 3 Hebrew boys, well, 4, because you started with Daniel and the group electing to eat what they are accustomed to eating. And they went up against the weight of the what do we call it now? They were taken as captives, and they were going against the instruction given by the king. They made their representation. One would say they had no might, they had no influence, yet they were able to persuade the keeper of the prisons
the keeper of the king's
I call
bank.
it prison. The bank. Well, listen to me, a prison.
No, but I understand. But in terms of what he was, but what I was saying is,
but he went up against them, these boys, and got their diet.
No, me agree with you,
Right.
But what
are you saying about might?
The might that I'm speaking about, this is what we have been accustomed to.
Yes.
Even in terms of what is a right principle, a lot of the times, and we see it happening a lot of times, is that the economic and the military might seems to win over in the end.
But some of these things, Percy, do not fall for decision on right or wrong principle, in the sense that any principle you choose is right. The ability to, so does that make sense to you? What I just said? Not, you can have 2 right choices before you, but it's a choice. You must pick one. You're choosing one doesn't mean that the other one was a wrong choice. You had 2 paths you could take, and they're not right or wrong. Do you understand? You're buying a car. You can choose a red car or a white car.
No, and
you make a choice.
You make a choice.
Yes. So what I'm saying to you, in the international community, you can have situations before you which do not give you a Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego moment. It's not good or evil.
Okay.
It can be 2 choices in the realm of good or 2 choices in the realm of evil.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand?
And
That's what I'm saying. But you have to set some principles now drawn out of your personal situation that influence your choice.
But the personal, the choices that you make out of your personal situation is based on
those may be good or evil.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So that's what I'm asking these questions because it's important for us to differentiate.
Yes.
Like the differentiation you have made between choice of cars versus
picking up the gun to get money versus getting a job.
let's put
and when you pick up a gun, you're not a security guard or a policeman.
It's nothing like that. It is it is right. And Mike, yes, it was continues to make that point. Somebody called us and asked us one question, along the same line of thieving and thing, what we're gonna do with it, and he said, but you're gonna thief or you're not going to thief? Is it okay according to the principles I've got to thief in the circumstance? To steal, not to thief. I say to the Jamaican people and that's versus to that is right. Anyway, press on. You're making a point. Yeah.
All right. So the foundation I'm laying for the discussion now is what was the correct thing for Jamaica to do concerning this request from their friend in the north to extend diplomatic privileges to the partner of a diplomat in a same-sex union. Now, I'm going to speak based on scripture and principles of righteousness and justice. I'm going to start it there. I am not going to dive into international conventions and norms concerning how diplomatic privileges are granted.
Okay.
But understand that for you to be fully versed on the issue, it would be good for you to research how these conventions operate.
The convention, Geneva 9?
Yes. For example, you will find that there are certain privileges that are granted to the family of a diplomat depending on the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important for us to understand what privileges would be denied this person who is being presented as spouse. What can the spouse of a diplomat lay claim to?
In terms of, yes. But you're not.
But I'm not going to speak about those
because you're not.
No, listen. I didn't check it this morning, but I will, and we can speak about it at another time.
Mm-hmm.
The issue that falls for determination is really whether or not one country can express a discriminatory position against a household member of a diplomat from another country.
Mm-hmm.
So the first conclusion I have come to, and you must have picked it up, I use the word discriminatory. Because under Jamaican law, fundamental rights and freedoms in the Constitution, we are not to discriminate against any person on the basis of their ethnicity, their gender, their conscientious philosophies, and there are some other things. But the whole essence of our adoption of these human rights principles, which also flow from the natural laws which we accredit to God, the whole essence of it is do not discriminate against an individual on certain fundamental things which are not matters of choice for the individual. And it's not for you to decide what is a matter of choice. The things are there in the Constitution itself, and they are there in the list of the human rights which we globally seek to protect. When the issue came up, I said to Lowell, you see now, when you begin to use the laws of man to form the framework in which you enter into human relationships, you paint yourself into a corner because not so long ago, a biracial union attracted the same disfavor. Not so long ago, you show up black man, white wife, or, well, white man, black wife, it elicited a certain reaction based in law. Jim Crow laws, ridiculous laws, but it was still based in law.
Mm-hmm.
We are fighting in the current realities for the rights of women to be respected in different places. Muslim women are under certain limitations. Sharia law is still operational in various parts of Africa and in the Middle East. A lot of gender-based violence comes out of discriminatory policies and cultural norms, which we have allowed to continue, even though with greater education and more revelation, we understand that these things are wrong. Small children, young girls are being sexualized prematurely because we encourage and do not take strong action against certain practices. And I could go on and on. Child labor is taking place in some areas because we want to minimize and not pay fair value for the labor of individuals. And you can go on and on. All of these are immoral, unrighteous, and are contrary to natural laws as we understand them coming from the throne of God. We as human beings making laws in our various countries, we don't advocate for, we don't resist, we don't take steps in covering those areas. We select one or two things. And I have said repeatedly on this program, I've said to Percival privately on air, it is not the will of God for man to use laws and legislate issues of morality. I've said it repeatedly in relation to abortion. I've said it in relation to the Buggery laws. I've said it in relation to, other things. And I'm not saying Percy and I are in a debate on this issue. I'm only laying a foundation and then he will respond to it. So don't jump out the blocks yet.
Not responding. I'm just saying she's stating her.
Oh, you're making it clear that you're not in agreement with me.
No, you are stating your position.
Yes, but everybody knows I am the one speaking. Whose position would I be stating?
No, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not responding because I'm just listening.
Yes, and I'm saying it's in a fulsome way. Mm-hmm. So those who are also listening can see where I'm coming from and pick their spot. Because you're going to have to pick a spot. You're going to have to pick a spot.
Pick a spot or pick a side.
A spot. Because we are one.
Yes. Okay.
We are one.
Okay.
Any family who look at their teenage son or daughter emerging with confused sexuality must pick a spot. And your spot cannot be based on, well, pastor say, the law say, you gotta understand now, this my child given to me by God. I have some responsibilities and God who gave him to me has the answer. So I am painting a picture for you, giving you a context to view what Jamaica has done. Jamaica has refused certain privileges to a person presented as the partner of a diplomat that the US wants to send to us. And I can understand Jamaica is well within her rights as a sovereign nation to say the person is welcome as a member of the household of your diplomat, but the laws of Jamaica do not permit spousal privileges, whatsoever those might be. I don't know what they are. I don't know if it is that when the newspaper take a picture, the newspaper need to say wife of diplomat X. I don't know what those are. And an important thing for Jamaica is when you as Ministry of Foreign Affairs gives accreditation to an individual, you cannot safeguard them against the prejudice of the nation. And I'm sure that that is the case all the time. We receive in our shores cruise ships filled with same-sex partners. Mm-hmm. They come to our hotels and it is a sort of a, what is it? Don't ask, don't tell. Mm-hmm. In Jamaica right here, I know at least one couple. Well, I know one personally who got married in another country and they reside in Jamaica. And I know of another, because Mr. Tomlinson is public about his situation, who wants to relocate his family safely to Jamaica with the spouse being acknowledged for who he is. It said so in the papers. So I know of that. But I certainly in my time have met many homosexual couples, male and female, living together right here in beautiful Jamaica. Now, spousal rights have a certain meaning in law in the domestic context. If you're married to a man, Pastor Percival would have officiated at the wedding, because our laws say who can get married and be recognized domestically.
Male and female.
Right. I am racking my brain to think of what this diplomat and his same-sex partner would require domestically that could cause an offense to the laws of Jamaica. I'm trying to think of it. Because if they're already married somewhere, they're not asking to be married here. If one dies, it's unlikely that they are going to litigate or probate the estate here. If one falls ill, it is unlikely they're going to be seeking to benefit from the insurance policy that covers medication and so on as a dependent in the character of spouse. So it prompts me to ask out loud, why would the government of Jamaica take such a position when it reveals their own bigotry and lack of sensitivity to human rights issues? It's discriminatory. Two, I cannot think of what it would offend in terms of what privileges were being denied. I am trying to understand, except for the fact that I know for sure that the creator of this world will use the wisdom of men to confound them in their bigoted positions and expose it so that they can find a right way in him to resolve it. Force the people of this nation who can be equally bigoted to confront their prejudices and take the right decision on these issues, which are human rights issues. There's nothing legal going on here. And there's a lot of times I feel like the government stumble into some ants' nest because they are unwise regarding the legal implications of what they're doing. We are constantly mixing morality and law as if to say we are the final word on morality. And as if to say you can use law to force people into being righteous.
Never.
Righteousness is in the heart. The law can command you to go left or right or take this or that punishment, but it can never compel you to love, to be kind, to be understanding, to be compassionate. Well, America has struck back. America says, well, you have these three people whose visas you want extended. Sorry, no. And interestingly, one of them is the ambassador herself. Apparently, she's ambassador for life.
No, she's been ambassador for
a long time.
For the last.
From
Golden was prime minister.
Yeah, a long time that.
Golden.
So they've been extending and extending and extending. It is a 5-year stint, and it's good for Jamaica that you get fresh blood in the ambassadorial services. To be honest, you can't have the same person there toiling, nothing new, nothing fresh. That's why it's for 5 years.
Say.
Yes.
That you've spoken a whole heap of things you're raised in terms of the discussion.
I'm planting seeds.
You know you're planting
so
seeds.
Some of them won't catch.
Okay. So this is my response to that. There's the issue of sovereignty. All right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're still in June was Pride Month? Yeah, June was Pride Month in the States. And
June is Bride Month. June is Bride Month. Don't let the Pride people take it over, Percy. You as a man who officiate weddings know.
No, but what
June
I
has
say.
traditionally been the month for brides.
I know that.
So you give it to the Pride people because they put their name on it last week.
They put
Last week, they put their name on it.
But we know June is the month
But
of
decades,
brides. Yeah,
the brides held June.
They decided that June is.
They want to take it from the brides.
Yeah.
Yes.
For whatever twisted way they wanted to do it. But,
well, we can see how you feel about that.
Yeah, in terms, and then so they did that, and then they flew the flag.
Yes.
At the U.S. embassy. So I'm saying,
right, and at that point, you remember at that point, the Jamaican government said they can't. I think it was Miss Malahufort said. Somebody said you can't stop them from flying a flag on their building.
Yeah, but some people raise that says according to international protocol, that is not the flag of the country. So why are you doing that? You are like in the face. Anyway.
And this year what they did, they made the building pink.
People don't even want them doing it. But anyway.
Anyway.
All right. So morals are principles or habits with respect to right or wrong conduct.
Mm-hmm.
While morals also prescribe do's and don'ts, morality is ultimately a personal compass of right and wrong. And they're saying it is individual, internal, which is where you have been in terms of you can legislate morality, correct?
Yeah.
So good.
Well, don't use the word can't because many
that's your position. You can't really legislate morality in terms of what is right or wrong. It does not
succeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my greater thing is, and people have gotten a lot of flack here, why is it that you keep referring to the Bible? And I said, but that is what I use as my guidebook. My guidebook for how I speak principles. And as somebody, I have a lot of persons who I interact with who are homosexuals.
Mm-hmm.
People have come to me for help, that kind of thing. And my thing is, I'm not judging you as an individual. I'm just saying the behavior. As I read scripture, and I'm from Genesis right through to Revelation, it is not accepted by God himself. As he even said, I'm going to judge. And then when he created male and female in Genesis, created Eden, I said it was good. To me, it speaks to what I call first principles of how we interact and relate. Now, if you decide that God has said that and you go contrary to that, as it says in Romans 1, and people can read that for themselves.
But you got to relate that now to a government doing something.
Because
the government couldn't suddenly bring up the law of God.
No, but
when
I'm
they've
saying
been applying a particular law.
But I'm saying the law, we had a discussion that the law that people have, it cannot supersede, man's law can supersede what God's law is. Because ultimately, that is what you take into consideration. That is your reference point. And I leave it there. Because ultimately, at the end, you, as you say, have to take a position. And the position that I take is a position that I'm saying, I'm going to have to answer to my Father, my God, in terms of whatever position. And he says to me, in regards to how do I deal with that situation with people who have same-sex attraction or animal to persons attraction, whatever it is.
Animals.
Yeah, and whatever, and decide to work out their sexuality that way. Says, God has said this, I choose to be on the side of God, and what he has said in terms of his law, and that is what we have to seek always to come up to. And that is something that happens in your heart.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, you finished?
That is just my simple response to
and
to
so
that.
what happened, is that what you have said is entirely correct in its own stream.
Yes.
And if we were a nation, applying those biblical principles to our decision making in the political space. You could see it. You could see how we would look at it. Let's look at it this way. The American government would never present a same-sex spouse to the Afghanistan government or to...
Is that serious? But you've raised
they would never present it to a nation where they understand clearly that this would be a danger to the safety of their diplomat. They would never do it.
So they don't do it in the countries that have clearly...
Precisely where the religious law and the public law or domestic law are one.
Okay. You raise up, boy, sister, you raise up a point there, which is because people says there are some things that them not care about some countries,
No,
you know.
they wouldn't, because one, they understand that it would place the person at risk, and two, they know it is an affront to the law of the nation with whom they are dealing. Jamaica is in that space. That's why I tell you now that this issue will force us to confront our own bigotry and to confront some issues which we need to address for the safety and the well-being of our own people. With waffling, we don't mind homosexuals' money for entertainment and tourism. In fact, we bend over backwards, pun intended, to accommodate. We need to be a nation of integrity. We must stand for something, and whatever it is we stand for must be clear.
So that is the wisdom position.
Yes, sir.
That is the wisdom position.
All right, it's 8 o'clock. I'm getting some looks which are very clear on the other side of the table.
It's interesting that we come to that, but I think that's where it's at.
That's where it is.
That's where it's at.
That's exactly where it is. Let's take our break, and then it's your time to join the conversation. It's 8 o'clock.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
Our world is changing rapidly, and our most valuable resource will be our teachers. They are the key to preparing us for the future. The government of Jamaica is investing in education teachers through scholarships in the field of STEM studies, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Apply for a STEM scholarship for the opportunity to get qualified to pursue a rewarding career as a STEM teacher. Find out more at www.mof.gov.jm/scholarships. Sign up for a STEM scholarship today. Conditions apply.
Hello, I'm Emily Thomas with the BBC News. A US submarine with nuclear capability has temporarily docked in South Korea. Last week, Pyongyang fired a long-range ballistic missile into the Sea of Japan. Jean Mackenzie sent this report from Seoul.
This is the first time since 1981 that a submarine armed with nuclear weapons has docked in South Korea. The move is meant to highlight Washington's commitment to Seoul's defense as the Allies grapple with how to respond to an increasingly dangerous North Korea. The North will likely retaliate, though. Last week it warned that sending nuclear weapons to the peninsula may incite a nuclear crisis.
A US national has crossed the border from South Korea into North Korea while on a tour of a village that serves as a meeting point for the two sides. The United Nations forces on the southern side of the line said he went over without authorization and was now believed to be in custody in the north. It's not clear why he went. The incident happened at the truce village known as Panmunjom, where the two sides hold negotiations and meet face-to-face. Figures released by a Chinese provincial government have revealed a surge in cremations at the beginning of this year, suggesting the true scale of COVID deaths in China. Cremations in Zhejiang province increased by 72% in the first 3 months compared to last year. Michael Bristow reports.
It's impossible to say that all the excess cremations in Zhejiang were because of COVID deaths. It's also difficult to extrapolate nationwide figures from just one province that's home to only 5% of China's population. But the figures suggest that there was a massive increase in deaths in China at a time when COVID was sweeping the nation. The Chinese government has refused to say how many people have died from the disease. It's even stopped releasing cremation statistics. The Zhejiang figures were quickly taken down shortly after they were published.
Russia says attempts to export grain from Ukrainian ports will carry risks without security guarantees from Moscow. The veiled warning comes a day after Russia pulled out of a deal allowing safe passage for Ukrainian shipments through the Black Sea. Russia's been widely condemned for withdrawing from the landmark deal, seen as a lifeline for some of the world's poorest countries. The EU's High Representative Josep Borrell said Moscow was weaponizing food.
It means that hundreds of thousands of people around the world will be deprived of basic food. I think this deserves some action at the level of the General Assembly of the United Nations. We cannot sit and just complain. This is using hunger as a weapon. This is one of the worst things that Putin could have done.
You're listening to the latest world news from the BBC with me, Emily Thomas. The International Criminal Court has rejected an appeal by the Philippines government to stop the investigation into the brutal war on drugs under the former President Rodrigo Duterte. The majority ruling found that the court had jurisdiction to look into the alleged crimes committed during the campaign in Davao City and elsewhere in the Philippines. They also agreed with the victims that there seemed to have been no attempt to get them justice in the Philippines. At least 19 people have been arrested so far in Israel during another day of protests against the government's planned judicial reforms. Thousands of flag-waving protesters have blocked major roads, entered the stock exchange, and prevented access to the Ministry of Defence. Britain has been accused by the United Nations of breaking international law by introducing new measures to tackle migration. Under legislation passed on Tuesday, people who arrive in the UK illegally will not be allowed to claim asylum. Here's Paul Moss.
It's a key political issue in Britain. Every month, thousands of people arrive illegally, most crossing the English Channel from France on simple, sometimes dangerous boats. If they ask for asylum, it can take months or years to assess their claim. So the UK will now stop them even asking. Instead, they'll be expelled to countries which Britain hopes it can pay to accept them. The government says this will deter people from making what is a perilous journey. But critics, including now the UN, warn that genuine refugees will be kicked out.
The 100-year-old American diplomat Henry Kissinger has held talks with China's defense minister in Beijing. It's another apparent sign of Washington's efforts to improve high-level ties. According to a Chinese statement, Mr. Kissinger said neither United States nor China could afford to treat the other as an adversary, and if the two countries went to war, neither side would gain. That's the latest world news from the BBC.
Do you remember Jolo? Yeah, man. Well, guess what? I allow it 4 to 6 every Friday. Boom shot. And best 100 FM. Boom shot. You ready? Yeah, man. You ready? Yeah, man. Well, I eat that. I allow it. Which part today? Tune in, beloved people. With that funny. Bless you. Best FM. Go. Go.
Greetings. I go by the name of Miss Wireways. Catch me on Best 100. I will be discovering the greatness of Jamaica and Jamaicans through people, places, and things home and abroad. Playing you some good music, along with interviewing artists, soundmen, producers, and Jamaicans making a difference all over the world. So catch me between the hours of 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. Monday to Thursday on Best 100 FM.
While stepping from across the street, smiling happily with everyone.
Best 100 FM presents the Mature and Moving Up Show. Lascelles Butch Chen. on Thursdays from 6 to 9 p.m. Welcome to this pioneering radio program on our continuing work in our maturing years. Compellingly define, educate, and liberate the younger generation. Tune in and welcome.
Ew, baby, you sick? Drink this.
Strong back tonic wine. Baby, look like you want a start out.
You think that's all Trang back good for? This delicious tonic wine has natural ingredients like Busy, Medina, Moringa, and more to strengthen your body so you can fight off anything, including viruses, where it sound like you get. Available island-wide, all foreign. Order at 749-1286 option 1 or IG Trangback TW. Trangback.
Straighten your back for me.
Veteran Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Haggard Park Road. Veteran Printers, your best choice in printing.
Half a tree, 100, half a tree. Bossy, how you do I take taxi start?
Chano, I want to tell you, say, 2 months now, my transmission mash up, and I check everybody and can't hear nothing positive.
Yeah, hear me? You waste all that time I shop around and never call the experts. Winters Auto have them. Them have over 35 years of experience and them diagnose the problem and get back your transmission brand new. For them service excellent and efficient. Trust me, man. Yeah, hear me? Call them at 929-7040. Or go to them at 106 Maxfield Avenue, Kingston 13 and talk directly to the boss. Just tell them I'm me, send you.
You big star. Yeah, man, respect my boss.
Try and call them, guys, trust me.
Ah, what a relief.
Having trouble getting parts for your Mazda? Maljam Auto Parts is your solution. Maljam at the new and convenient location of Ocean Park Road at 9 Kingswood Avenue. Maljam Auto Parts, with over 25 years experience, providing all Mazda parts, new and used. Call 923-4389 and 461-1786. Maljam Auto Parts, serving your Mazda needs.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
Good morning, welcome back to The Morning Connection, and welcome back to my beautiful Empress. Them call her all different kind of thing. Is Lowell's queen, my very good friend. Minette is back with us, very full of energy and all of the things there. But you were making an important point before we went to the break. After I'd made my brief submission and you said to me, remember you just said to me about what I said? I said, that is the point.
What was it again?
About the law of
I'm just making sure you understand.
the law that it is a question for us as a country to become
our position needs to be clear
and country of integrity, because we waffle about whole heap of things. But that's a real point, because when you call it is a point in which choose he now Jamaica, that's where it's at. Who now go serve, what it is that we are willing to do, because you made a point, we're willing to take the people's money when they come, give money for hotel and and so on.
Yep, we court their business in our tourism industry, and we have them amongst us with laws on the books. We do not enforce those laws. We are in conflict about so many things. We have a constitution which protects people from discriminatory treatment in certain specific ways. We have a young man, Mr. Tomlinson, who is to be applauded for pressing the issue in the constitutional courts. And we want to remain vague.
We have to make up our
about
mind.
who we are. We need to make up our mind.
Because you said a point that they would never send somebody like that to an African country or
Afghanistan
or one of them
or
countries,
any other countries where it is clear
them said,
where the nation stands on it.
yeah,
Yes.
Don't
And they enforce their laws.
Yeah.
Yeah, we in
It's
Jamaica
another-
want to have our cake and eat it. Well,
we can't do that. So the time
but you
come.
see, that double-minded man who is unstable in all his ways, and the book of James talks about him, and yes, it says man, but it also a nation that wants to be all things to all men and act based on convenience, you become liable to this type of manipulation.
And that's what I think is happening. My friend who is listening from overseas. Big up my friend. He's one of my brothers. Him WhatsApp me. I know him not in Jamaica, so and him only like some of the times I did though. Him just WhatsApp me privately and say, okay. So he says, him a listening. So why NCB send Patrick Hilton and Queen on vacation together?
No. All right, so that's just good humor. We're not making a point here.
No, but then said no, something, because you made the comment, and Mike pointed to the whole question of narrative, and he was saying like with Bill Clinton, and remember the lady?
Yes, Monica Lewinsky.
And he says the guy he did public policy and communication, and the guy that was one of his instructors was the person. Is we put that out there, and as we are the person who control the narrative. Lena trying to control a narrative.
All right. So before we open the lines, you had mentioned that the PNP had put out some kind of release concerning this issue with the
same thing,
U.S.
the diplomatic,
government.
yes.
So I'm interested in it only to the extent that I'm curious as to how, if the government were led by the PNP, if the government was formed by the PNP, how they would have treated it. That's my curiosity. It's not even so much about, the basis on which they are stating their position. The first thing is, I would expect that the opposition would say that the government is wrong to reject. I would expect them to say that because they're opposition and their job is to oppose. So I think, and that's why I said to you, the knee-jerk reaction to these things, never the right reaction, because you are going to come at it from your carnal, your human perspective. You're not going to take the time to do what you and I are seeking to do here, to align our thought process with what we know would be right and righteous in the kingdom of God. So the PNP says that they are concerned about the threat to gay rights caused by the diplomatic standoff. Now, I don't know what that means.
What is the gay rights?
I don't know.
We have gay rights in Jamaica.
I don't know what gay rights is.
Have mercy.
They are concerned about the threat to gay rights. What are those?
You have gay rights in right to be gay. Hello, Lowell. When Mr. Producer, and I tell people, language has changed. When we were growing up, if you're a gay person, you were happy.
Happy.
You're a happy person.
Happy and gay.
Yeah.
The Christmas song about it.
Yeah.
All right. So the PNP is concerned about the threat to gay rights, yet to be defined what those are. Because if you are to follow the narrative, Jamaica don't acknowledge same-sex relationships. So I don't know what those would be. Caused by the diplomatic standoff that has now emerged between the government and the USA. PNP is concerned that the refusal of the Jamaican government to recognize the same-sex marital status of a U.S. diplomat could spell economic disaster brought on by sanctions that our economy cannot manage.
Which one did say that?
I'm sorry, I'm not going to read anymore because this is what the opposition is saying. The opposition is saying, just as you and I were theorizing that our morality is for sale, our morality is not for sale. It can never be for sale. Even if some people behave like that.
Yeah,
They don't
but
speak for me, by the way.
No, but
Neither the government nor the PNP speak for me.
no man, but you see, they said that why those Hebrew boys was very important, you know.
You started on as you said, the 3 Hebrew boys, I made the connection. I said we are always gonna come to that place where we must choose.
You have to choose.
I am not going to recognize a same-sex union if such recognition is in defiance of what I know to be right in the eyes of God, because I am afraid of economic disaster and sanctions, that if God is God, he will cover me when I stand up for what is right in his eyes. If not,
but and that's
right,
my dear, that's important. We're going to open the line.
All right, let me finish this. So the PNP would have said yes, so we could get money. Basically, that's what they're saying.
Yes, and
then now they go to the moral tone, arrogant and bigoted stance of the JLP administration flies in the face of our national motto: out of many one people. Don't they know that out of 2 same-sex union you cannot have one? Same-sex union is unproductive. But that's not what our motto means. If there's any student listening to me,
that's not what it means. That's
or
not what.
Don't mean.
All right, a press release there. Come on, man.
Hold on a minute. Should I have credited it to the PNP? Maybe it's a prank. Maybe he's the JLP, right? I'm going to stop reading from it now. Yeah, because this is not adopting either the tone or the content that I would really associate with the PNP. First, to say that we should say yes to the Americans because we don't want them to take away the money. And then 2, to suggest that a motto out of many one people mean something in favor of homosexuality. I don't make the link. But then they say, they refer to the U.S. as a long-standing friend, trade partner, and host. And I think they may be saying that we should treat our friends better.
Should I call Michael? I say, Michael, ask him if that is really coming from them, because in the age of misinformation and things.
Then they talk about the diplomatic row sparked by the Golding administration concerning Dudus.
They make that link there.
And that is not a reasonable link either, because under Jamaican law and under American law, the allegations against Christopher Dudus Coke, who actually went and pleaded guilty in an American court, so we can't say allegations anymore. He has accepted them as a reasonable summary of his activities, and those activities are criminal under any jurisdiction.
What he was doing.
2 men standing before an official and saying, "You're my wife, you're my wife," or "You're my husband, you're my husband," whatever they say, is not known. It's not a criminal act.
Right.
It's not a criminal act. You may think it is immoral and disgusting and detestable, or what the Bible said, detestable. You may ascribe to it language out of the Old Testament as often as you like, but you cannot say that in today's world it is a criminal act in Jamaica or in America. In fact, it is specifically sanctioned in the places where they are able to get married.
And in some places, well,
yeah,
it's
kind of
a
human rights issue. Believe me, people, it's a human rights issue. And if you, yeah, all right, let's open the lines, because you and I could talk this way for a long time, and I haven't seen you for 2 weeks.
You haven't seen me for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Let me say happy.
Yeah, and the PNP talked about revocation of U.S. visas.
And
the next likely thing. I know all about that.
I visited. I went to Little London, and we had a outreach.
Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Miss Minute, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you think the anus was made for a penis?
Do I think?
Yeah.
I've never thought that the anus was made for sexual congress.
Okay, and do you think 2 women naturally
What's happening here? what's happening here. Good morning, caller. All right, the other call came in.
I think the spirit of righteousness rose up against those questions being put to Miss Binet.
Good morning.
Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Good
George.
morning, my brother. How are you, King George? Want me to carry back for you? I'm giving it to you right now.
Silver and gold have I known.
Which one you there? Which one you there? Now look outside.
But if you're not feeling it, then you're not the right man for this gift.
Give thanks for the morning, eh?
Yes, always.
Yeah. When I get rain at all, no?
Yes, I return to the wet
and we not get on nowhere.
I'm sending you some.
You know, good drop one time on top of us. Straight at home.
George, you need to pray some more, man. You need to pray like Elijah, man, until the fifth become a major thing. Because I'm gonna have prayer.
Me live side of the river.
You don't want too much rain come.
Me go side of you. Anything like I'm just go down the river, go wash and be down there.
All right, George. Okay.
So what do?
We're well, my brother.
Yeah, man, give thanks. Well, there are so many crazy things going on, eh? In the world. Sometimes you can start to talk on one topic. There are so many topics to talk about.
You have to go pick one, though.
You have to go pick a side, George. You have to pick a side.
I not pick a side because I don't want to tell me I go to the people then stop me. I say, you think about it? Excuse me, hello. Don't tell that. Let's move on.
George,
Yeah, I heard the diplomatic war with both and whatever and what, but you know, the government that let them deal with that. You know, I get myself involved in that thing there, and next thing I'm going to find out. They're supposed to deal with the situation in a diplomatic way. Am I right?
Of course, you know that I am going to encourage you to do a little bit more than think of your immediate self-interest in looking at some of these issues. Because, yes, what is happening can have repercussions that become personal. But for the most part, what we are coming up against is a mindset of our own government to play fast and loose with issues that touch and concern the rights of citizens. You know, laughingly, Lowell said to me this morning that there might be some homosexuals in our own government who are saying, well, if you recognize the American, you have to recognize mine too. And you know what? That's not an unfair position to take, because the integrity of a nation hangs in the balance when we are just making decisions based on convenience and the immediate needs as we see them. The opposition is equally wrong to say that you must pick a course in order to preserve economic benefits. Because, I mean, if they came for our children, let me say this, put it this way. Suppose America wanted to enter into some arrangement with us that would put our children at risk of early sexualization because they have made it permissible in their country for certain activities to take place involving children, whether it's young girls or young boys. Are we going to look at our little boys and say, but you know what? If we said no to the Americans, they might withhold economic benefits from us. You have to take a principled position on it so that whatever you say today can apply across the board when they touch your sacred cows. Because there are some things which all of us know we're not going to permit. But if the principle that protects those things is sound, then that principle should protect everything. Shouldn't be just the things that, the little kids are cute and precious, so we're going to protect them. But you see, like all Minette and Lowell and Percy out there, them can't go on. No. Nope. Not right. So
yeah, but I mean, you have to really talk up, because what they feel that is right, it is in the Bible.
Yes. So that is what Percy and I were doing this morning. We say, all right, let's go to the highest source.
Yes.
And one thing I know, the Bible speaks of every form of sexual immorality as a sin. There's none that it says, well, you're okay if you touch our head, but not our toe. No. Anything that is that transgress sin. Yet we see grace and favor being given to persons whom, by the same standard of the Bible, we acknowledge that their conduct was not right.
Yeah. And I want to push it even further, George, in terms of Jesus even take it to another level, you know. Him say, you said, oh man,
yes,
you think about her and doing everything with her, you have sinned.
Yeah.
Because him said that is now where we need to take the dialogue, the conversation.
The response and the conscientiousness with which we approach certain things must begin in the heart, in your thoughts. So if your thoughts are impure, don't stand there with your impure thoughts. I'm going to punish the man who actually lived it out. Because you're no better than him.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah, so.
Because, the Bible go against this.
Yes.
So why would you want to pursue it? The Bible is against it, and even the law is against it, because you want to change the law. If you say the law is not a shackle,
well, you can't to another.
Everybody want to just do what them feel like.
Yeah.
Because they're over here and then you won't need stuff from them and all that. You need to just make a stand. Either you respond or you don't respond.
Yeah, man. So that's
not responding, showing that you're not agreeing with their advancement.
Yeah. But
what they are doing.
Yeah, when you look,
this is a diplomatic thing,
right?
And they need to work it out. And you said that you're gonna really deal with that,
So I don't see why. I don't see why. And I don't see why the government couldn't have responded by saying, the privileges of a spouse, whatsoever those are, cannot be confirmed for this individual because he's not a spouse. He's welcome as a member of the household.
Mm-hmm. Interesting, George.
Because even if the government,
this diplomatic thing here is very, very big and can cost. Because remember one time when they want a such man from Jamaica and America request him and did not come, they start to stop everybody.
But
them stop everybody flying to America. I think was Winch now is my first man casualty have taken away visa can't enter America until they get such man.
Yeah, but
and such man they come for him and imply him out and everything was good again.
Yeah, but such
this
man,
is against the Bible.
Yeah, but such man, the behavior, the behavior of the conduct ascribed to the person that you're calling such man. The PNP said Dudus Coke, and I'm sure it's the same one you're speaking of. The allegations against him were in breach of the law, specifically in breach of the law in both Jamaica and in America.
Right.
And he went to America and pled guilty in the court. So it puts it beyond doubt. That should not have been the cause of a diplomatic standoff at all.
Yeah. Yeah, but George, it's way past 8:30.
Oh, that's what you were showing me. 8:33.
I don't know what time to talk. I was going to start talking to you.
All right, good. We send the blessing.
If you want to say what I told to hurry up and forward.
All right, then, George. All right.
Put care of the telephone, remember Lion Arthur, yeah.
All right,
everybody.
Thank you. Thanks for calling us.
If you have your bucket things to come back, you must at least I don't know where you've been.
You're so right.
All right.
All right, we flew past our 8:30 break. We're taking it now, so please, we'll be right back.
Veteran Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Haggard Park Road. Veteran Printers, your best choice in printing.
Having trouble getting parts for your Mazda? Jam Auto Parts is your solution. Jam at the new and convenient location off Upper Park Road at 9 Kingswood Avenue. Jam Auto Parts, with over 25 years experience, providing all Mazda parts, new and used. Call 923-4389 and 461-1786. Jam Auto Parts, serving your Mazda needs.
Getting fired when you tune into Vent. Brought to you by Via Express Couriers. This and every Wednesday at 5 p.m. on Best 100 FM. Hear from some of Jamaica's top entrepreneurs. Get updates on deals and upcoming events. Tips for business and pure vibes. Vent a safe space for discussion. Make a chat, no man.
Our world is changing rapidly, and our most valuable resource will be our teachers. They are the key to preparing us for the future. The government of Jamaica is investing in education teachers through scholarships in the field of STEM studies, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Apply for a STEM scholarship for the opportunity to get qualified to pursue a rewarding career as a STEM teacher. Find out more at www.mof.gov.jm/scholarships. Sign up for a STEM scholarship today. Conditions apply.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
Welcome back. This is The Morning Connection on Best 100 FM.
Good morning.
Good morning, Wayne.
How are you? I hope you full joy yourself.
And then some.
I was here practicing to sing for you this morning, you know.
Well, let's go.
You want me to sing?
Of course.
Let me not sing again.
You just
my mind, you know, can we get caught up in the conversation? But I was practicing this morning. I'm looking girl at them to sing. Anyway.
Oh, how beautiful.
You see, when people put them trust in money to keep them alive, right? They will bow to those who have money power to stay alive. Right?
Yes.
But a person who knows that God created all things and created in wisdom and give us wisdom to live, we put their trust in the Creator to live. Right? So, quite a mix up with them. Anyway.
Yeah, but I love that vein you were on, Wayne, because you're sort of dialing back to first principle. And it is where I am also in terms of when a government is making decisions on behalf of the nation, it must have some foundation principles that it apply all the time. And you nailed it. You said, if you're driven by money and convenience, then your decision's going to be following a certain course. If you are driven by the morality and the principles of righteousness that comes from God, you will know how to choose all the time. And regardless of the consequences, you will have that trust and that faith that God will cover you because you have been faithful and obedient to His way.
Yeah.
So we're at that moment on this little issue where the human rights considerations for persons who are homosexuals or whatever name they want to go by, those are human right considerations. And we have to be clear and consistent in how we treat them. And the only way to know that you are doing the right thing is to align yourself with the Word of God. And you see, Percy and I went to the strict word that speaks against even sexual immorality in thought. It starts from there. Yet we see a merciful God taking a woman who confessed that she had had 5 husbands in a society when such a thing was plainly not acceptable.
Or a woman
And we
who was
see
caught in
the woman
adultery.
who was caught in adultery. And we see a merciful Christ speaking against the conduct, but finding grace for the woman.
Yeah, because those who supposed to be leading the country claiming that they have God commandments. We're doing a lot of things to cause the people them to breaking the laws of God.
Yes.
So Christ could find mercy in himself for those who are willing to listen and be renewed again.
Repent.
To repent.
Yeah. So I said to myself, if the government gonna close the door to everything that we find unacceptable, how are we going to lead people to repentance or be a part of that change if all we do is shun them? No, you can't come. You can't come as a diplomat, but you can come as a tourist. And look at the man who was contributing to a charity who they later disclosed was a pedophile. How did he get here? He wasn't a diplomat. At least a diplomat, you know who he is and what he is. Anyway, you talk some more.
Miss Minette, never asked you something about a book where a teacher give to me. Mark, book 6, right? For my 6th graders. And I think on the front page, Mark, Hudson, 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 you know what I'm talking are young.
Hudson.
The book name Mental Ability and Reasoning. Now, me and my little girl, I got through the book and they give you a workout. You know the workout, sir. A person buy 100 orange for $12, right? Them sell or whatever. Each orange for 20 cents. Right? So them are asked now how much orange that person have to sell to make $6 profit, right?
So what you do?
So me work.
So
What we do,
yes,
they multiply the 100 by 20 cents. So me know how much money me get in cents and I convert it now to dollars.
Right.
So me get $20. After them sell it for 20 cents a one, everything, me get $20. So me know them make a $8 profit on that. Right? Now them ask how much orange a person would need to make $6.
To make 6.
Now me know that 6 is 3/4 of 8.
8, yes.
So I said then 75 is 3/4 of 100. So the person must sell 75 orange
to make $6.
To make the $6, I'm work it out to make sure I'm right. But when you check the answering sheet in the book, it shows me 90 orange. You work it out again in one next year. Me not get the answer. So I'm going to go back to the teacher.
Yes.
I'm reason with that. Come here, say, probably need a mathematician to make me understand this.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Anyway, so go look at thing and I show me the probably I saw them do it to get the answer there. But me have to miss.
So,
even when me look into what you're doing, it kind of not make no sense.
All right. So one thing I didn't hear you say, they gave you how much you paid for each orange?
No, them tell you $12 for the 100 orange.
Okay.
So what I do, I turn the $12 into cents. Because the 100 orange, so I know each orange will have value less than $1.
Yeah.
So I multiply the 12 by 100 cents make $1, and I get 1,200.
All right.
So I know that each orange value 12 cents.
Okay.
And I sell it at 20 cents each.
Yeah.
So you make a
8 cents.
You make a 8 cents on each orange.
Okay.
So when you multiply the 8 cents by 75 orange, you get $6.
Let me separate you from the math, and let me separate you from the math, because math is one of the closest to pure science. The numbers speak for themselves, and it sounds to me that the problem in the book gave you all the numbers that you needed. You needed to know the how much you buy the orange for, the cost. You needed to know how much you sell it for, the price, and you got cost, and you got price, and you know the targets you're going for. You're trying to get gross revenue, and then you need net, the profit. Okay, so you have all the information. What you're really touching on is when the written word contains an error, who is the person with the ability and the character to call it for what it is? regardless of the consequence. That's really what you're touching on. It is not unusual that books contain error because books are written by men and men are fallible. Right, Percy?
That's correct.
So if you find an error in a book and you come upon a teacher who is unwilling to follow the principles that are agreed and known and call that the error for what it is, you have a problem with that teacher who is teaching your child. And we're coming to the same issue now, all roads connected because one issue gone in the world. If you have a government who don't have the courage to assess things on principles that are known and faithful and acceptable, and be bold enough to deal with, confront the result that you get, you also have a problem. And it is same as an integrity issue. If all of us are agreed that 1 + 1 make 2, and somebody come and say this is 3, and because of who the person is, you are saying, you know what, him say a 3, make it go on because me no want antagonize him or whatever it might be. You've lost your integrity. To that person now, they can show up and tell you, this is the emperor's clothing again. They'll come and tell you that this is a garment made of gold, wear it. And if they have the ability to punish you when you disobey, you have a whole other thing going on. That's why integrity is such an important thing. That persons can be held to the truth of a situation as all people can see it and acknowledge it. So if you did the math, my dear, and what you're describing to me sounds like all of the acceptable principles, and you are getting one result and the book have another result, the book wrong.
Yeah.
And persons in authority or otherwise must be bold enough to say, well, this is an error in the book. I'm not teaching my child that. You notice in some countries now, parents are studying the books to determine whether or not their child should be taught anything out of certain books.
True.
Percy.
Yeah, just go back to the principle. The principles of what you're doing and how it works itself out. Yes. Yeah. So we can just put it in the group. Let me see if what you are saying in effect in terms of the maths work out. All right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pastor, I'm going to tell you to me one time. Let me live at Taspen. One time, stand up on the corner and a lady, a pastor, invite people to church. Right? And she invite me. She pass me about 2-3 times and I invite me. And I look at her and I say, I'm a Rasta man, you know. I don't make a warm in the church. I'm a Rasta man. She say, oh, it's welcome and really. So I said, I do not. Sometimes I walk but sit down. So I sit down and I'm originally living in the same community there. Bigger man for me, and from I go beside him, I criticize the pastor. I say to myself, so what is? Anyway, the pastor preach and the pastor pick me out now. Call me up on the front now. And I tell me to go up on my knee and confess that Jesus is Lord. So I look on the pastor and I say, well, I accept Yahshua as my Lord. And I see Yahshua manifest himself in this time in the personality and his own name here till after the first. So the pastor look at me and tell me, if you come out in church.
So what did you do? You came out of the church?
Yeah, first not fight with people and then believe. We just walk out.
All right, sir. Okay.
You know, but that look good, pastor. Can I tell me see man in business and go push up in the end of the I might invite people now and place.
You're not a good host.
No.
You're not a good host, yeah.
No.
He's not a good ambassador of Christ.
No.
You're not a good host. Not a good host. All right,
bless love. Miss Minette, we love you. Glad to hear you.
Love you, my brother. Take care.
Big up Mr. Lawrence. Bless up.
Salute you. All right. Well, that was an interesting one there. That because you know how when I'm laser focused onto something, I see it everywhere. What happened in the church? Let's treat the church as the country and Wayne as the visitor.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you just said it. He was not a good host.
Not a good host.
Wayne now is his target market.
Mm-hmm.
You should be holding on to Wayne.
Yeah.
Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection.
Hello. Good morning.
That's
good morning.
That's all like man.
Good morning.
Oh.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Miss Minette. Glad to see you. Glad to have you back in town. You've been going crazy since you left town, you know.
Yes, thank you so
much. Yes, man. Yeah, man. Pastor, you agree with me, so we did that go crazy.
You're going crazy.
Yes, man. Come on. We need some back in you, man. I just don't know so we can't do without you, man. Let's get to it.
All right, bye.
And especially with Minette, special in the program, you get me? So,
yeah, man.
Big up yourself, and I hope you enjoy yourself. And we're glad to see you back, you know, in that town, you know.
I did that welcome song reminded
me. Yeah, man. I big up your husband, because we not let him out.
Lowell, big up.
Yeah, man. Mr. Noel, yeah, man. Big up yourself. I'm also big up to all our callers and listeners worldwide. You know, and you don't know, so we say one God, one people, one equal right, and just push to all, you get me? So,
yes.
Big up to all who are listening. So, you may want to take several times this morning, but you see, a lot of things are going in the church, you know, because, you know, if you're watching news lately, where a priest has been locked up for molesting a 12-year-old, you understand?
Yeah, man, Jamaica, the Catholic Church.
Yes.
And
yes. And again, a couple nights ago, they must show you, say, back in up the line, that's one of those places where a lot of family are molesting young people them in their own family, which is a very dangerous thing. Mm-hmm. You understand?
So you know,
coming back. Yes?
No, I said something to Pastor Percival earlier that there are some things which right now we're all agreed that they're unacceptable. But when we begin to be loose in enforcing the principles in the right way, eventually those things which are unacceptable, we get tested on them and we fail.
Yeah.
Yes. So I said, we have to stand up for people who know it's right. You get me, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
Because he's a man where he's a straight up person, you know, he dies in my rights, you know, anywhere, anytime, you know. You understand?
As it should
because you have to prepare yourself to die for the right, and especially to the people, because we are talking to the people, you know. You understand? You know, we represent the people, so we need to get the country clear up. And the thing about it, you see when those men find, you can't give them no 15 years and no 5 years and no 10 years. You have to give them long sentence where you can set an example. The show man say, no more than them.
Yeah, this is not acceptable at any level.
Not acceptable at all. And there is a movie that's out calling something of freedom. Sound of Freedom, which speaks about trafficking and we're kind of spit on it because it's really exposing a lot of what is happening out here in our traffic for the sex trade and that internationally around the world.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, so, and yeah, it is important. Yeah, my brother, it's true. Because if we say that the children are the future and we treat them so, Lord help us.
Man, we now got no future.
No, we're killing the future.
The future bleak, you know? It's bleak. So, we don't know about how to say. We have to set some very strong measures to show a man play. So you want to know, remember, you know, their own family, them are abused, you know.
Yeah.
It's not like you're a stranger, you know, so that means you can't get to find your family.
Right. So it covered up.
You can't avoid it because you have to them among your family.
It cover up deep. And it means that members in the community who know about it and who have suspicions and so on are complicit in the activity to the extent that they're not speaking against it.
Yeah, so we don't know, but as I say, we have to stand up for what is right. And we didn't go a little big up and this minute, glad we have it back in town. Yeah, man, blessings, you know.
Thank you very much.
All right, my brother, blessings.
Yeah, man, big up, yeah, man.
Yeah. So I did see one or two of those headlines. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, both of you.
Good morning to you, my brother.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am good as you are.
No, we can't affect whether you're good or not. You know, that is your decision.
Yeah.
Yes.
My topic this morning is about those people from Haiti
Yes.
who have been
37 people with the 8 children. Yeah.
yes. I'm just appealing to the people in those areas where they might come to treat them well, treat them with
Oh, I bless you for saying that.
We said the same thing. We must.
well. I'm appealing to the government to treat them well. But more so the people there, government and our and these is convinced of anything. I don't know if how many people realize that Jamaicans used to be running away to Haiti at one point
Yes.
in time. Yes, when Haiti.
Remind me, yes.
It's true. It's true.
They used to go there to do the Higglers would go and shop.
Yeah, man.
As well.
Yes, when Haiti had fight off the French
yes.
in their independence, their policy was that anyone from anywhere else
should come for them for free.
Run from slavery.
Any
Once
black person.
you reach the shores of Haiti, you were free.
If you accepted to be governed under their constitution, you were free. Yes.
You weren't being sent back to
Very
go back
true.
under slavery. But for some reason we don't teach our people these things. I try to do it wherever I am. And sometimes we don't even, there's a misconception about Haiti too, where people believe that bad things are happening to Haiti because they are into voodoo and them wicked.
Because they're wicked,
so.
as if they deserve it. Yes. I've
That's
heard
not
it said.
so. The Haiti are being punished for being the first country in the Western sphere to fight off slavery and win. And they are being made to pay for it up to this day. They are not allowed to,
enjoy their freedom. In most other parts of the world, if this were a white state that claimed its freedom, they'd be accorded full privileges and the United Nations, and they'd be going about their business and they'd be celebrated as a great military power. But a black nation of former slaves who fight off the oppressor is not anything to be encouraged, because
And
understand what you're saying.
They made, when Haiti fight them off and get them freedom,
yes,
they started to pressure them. They cut them off from everything. They wouldn't trade with them. And it got so bad.
No, because you didn't want to encourage.
That Haiti had to go back to them to say, ease way up. And the conditions were.
And they were carrying the cost of compensation to the ousted landowners until fairly recently. I think I just want to add that to the mix. Just the same way that the United Kingdom was compensating plantation owners for losing the land and the slaves in Jamaica, so too Haiti as a nation was taxed to pay the French for what they took from them by force. It is not usually the course that the victor in a military confrontation ends up paying. To the victor, the spoils is what we know to be so in any military engagement, yet Haiti's economy was taxed to cover what was lost. That was the price of their freedom, was financial enslavement into
I'm just finished in about 21, 22, recently.
Yeah.
And they wiped out Haiti's agriculture by bringing in cheap things which was subsidized those farmers in those countries.
So, my brother, you're citing some maybe little known facts or not well remembered facts about the past concerning Haiti. But I'd love to hear what you feel is our current day responsibility, and not just at the community level, which you quite rightly said concerning those who have landed on our shores. But I'd love to hear what you think the CARICOM region, all Black nation states, as far as you might extend your thought process, what should we be doing now to show our solidarity with Haiti and to transform what has been years of punishment into some growing prosperity? Because I feel like the plight of Haiti is the plight of all of us, no matter where we are in the spectrum. What are your thoughts on that?
But the first thing
Yes.
that we need to do is to make CARICOM a real independent entity. Not one where, I don't know if you remember, and when Donald Trump invited a few people from CARICOM up.
We can't forget the picture, my brother, of our prime ministers looking like naughty.
CARICOM's position was not what the U.S. wanted, and therefore they call up Andrew Holness and a few others up there, take them into a country place, walk through back door, and get them to take their own position.
Separate and
You know,
divide and conquer.
yeah. So the first thing is to have a oneness. If CARICOM decide on something, take a position. We don't want a few little people to go behind and say, all right, some great white people in America say we must take a different position. That is the first thing. But we have to educate ourselves.
True.
Otherwise, we will find ourselves supporting the people who take those positions that is against us. So if we, the people, we can just leave it to politicians. We have to make them know that this is our position. You are representing us, and this is our position, and you need to carry this position forward. Otherwise, nothing else is going to work.
I
Divide and rule is the thing that they are using against us.
Yeah, so you're talking about grassroots mobilization, my friend, which comes through education.
And he's also speaking of regional unity and strength on those conversations. I agree with both.
When I go to PTA meetings, I am chairman of a early childhood.
My brother, if you can call back or stay with us, we've gone past the 9 o'clock hour. It's 9:02. We need to take a station break. So, would you bear with us, please?
Okay, I will.
Call us back. 2 lines are working in good order.
All right.
Good. Bye.
You're simply the best. You're simply the best.
Best FM 100 on your dial. Keep listening.
Zongo zongo go zongo zeng. Zongo zongo go zongo zeng. I'm getting married in the morning. Hey, this is Kenya man. And remember, the 31st of July. Remember, original, black and white, featuring Sniper International with the man called DJ Kippo, DJ Snow, DJ Toppy, and it's gonna be at the Savage Pen Sport Complex off Garden Town Road. I found my dream. Yeah man, big up. Make it a day. Don't be it. 31st of July.
Half a tree, 1 and drive, half a tree. Bossy, how you do I take taxi star?
Chano, I want to tell you, say, 2 months now, my transmission mash up, and me check everybody and can't hear nothing positive.
You hear me? You waste all that time I shop around and never call the experts. Winters ought to have them. Them have over 35 years of experience and them diagnose the problem and get back your transmission brand new with them service excellent and efficient. Trust me, man. You hear me? Call them at 929-7040 or go to them at 106 Maxfield Avenue, Kingston 13 and talk directly to the boss. Just tell them I'm me, send you.
You big star. Yeah, man. Respect my boss.
Try calling him, cause trust me.
Ah, what a relief.
Veteran Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Haggard Park Road. Veteran Printers, your best choice in printing.
Do you remember, Jolo? Yeah, man. Well, guess what? I allow it. 4 to 6. What? Every Friday. Boom shot. And best 100 FM. Boom shot. You ready? Yeah, man. You ready? Yeah, man. Well, I eat that. I allow it. Which part today? Tune in, beloved people. With their funny. Bless you. Best FM. Boom.
Used to be on TV, yeah.
Best 100 FM presents the Mature and Moving Up Show, Lascelles Butch Chen, on Thursdays from 6 to 9 p.m. Welcome to this pioneering radio program on our continuing work in our maturing years, compellingly defined, educate, and liberate the younger generation. Tune in and welcome.
Ew, baby, you sick? Drink this.
Strong back tonic wine. Oh, baby, you look like you want to sort out.
You think that's all Trang back good for? This delicious tonic wine has natural ingredients like busy, Medina, moringa, and more to strengthen your body so you can fight off anything, including viruses. Wait, don't like you, catch. Available island-wide, all foreign. Order at 749-1286 option 1 or IG Trangback TW. Trangback.
Straighten your back for me.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
It's good. It's better. But nothing beats. Best.
Good morning. Morning Connection. Thank you, caller. Thank you for holding.
Good morning. Go ahead. You're on the Morning Connection.
Oh, that one left us. But what a gentleman says
about the Haitian situation.
Yes.
I'm so grateful to see that Jamaica is playing a serious role in addressing matters pertaining to Haiti. I mean, you heard me on it. And I said to Pastor Percy, we wanted to go to Haiti, but of course, the safety factor. So Haiti has come to Jamaica. We must find a way.
No, Michael is now the country pastor. The country pastor is his side of the world. He's on Portland.
All right, good.
He know what is happening. Good. He would have told us what's happening.
Michael, I'm coming to you because my heart was so filled with compassion for Haiti, and I was strongly motivated to encourage the government of Jamaica to take a leadership role, that we can't miss this opportunity. Good morning, and thank you for calling.
Yes, good morning to you both.
Good morning to you, my brother.
Malvern.
Yes, sir.
Two bags full, sir.
It is obvious to me that the opposition has chosen have made a decision about this thing, and I think the government now has not publicly stated their clear intention, but I think they too will choose validate this thing.
Well, you're so right, my brother. If they want Miss Audrey Marks to be ambassador for life, it can only happen if her visa is extended.
Yes.
So
Jamaica from the early days never really did have an integrity.
let me tell you, man, what a pitiful situation. Yeah. We've just been cheapened again in the eyes of anybody with sense who's looking on. Cheapened.
Yes, because as I look back at history, that's what I see. There's no integrity, no courage. There's nothing there. It's just a matter of selling. Would you want to have it on country to feel? He's so correct. He's so right. I think that song made the festival, too.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. But I will check it out. I don't know if he wanted Buju win festival. First he's checking. But the sentiment is true. That is what we are. And it's been exposed in this thing that is going on.
Yes, that is where we are now. And I think, well, we will not be blessed hereafter.
Oh, please don't condemn us. There are many righteous people standing in the gap.
Well, that is true. Thank God for that. And there's always
Remember with Elijah, you know, the Mount Carmel experience, and some people have alluded to that. Who is God answer with fire? And then afterwards, Jezebel, which is a spirit, came at him and him run. And him say it was him alone, and God remind him, hello, there are 7,000 haven't bowed the knee, you know.
Or kissed.
Or kissed, the thing. So it's important. The song is Country for Sale. It starts, Country for Sale, apply within. No, come Bell, tell me what go on. I heard them sell off everything. Name your price if the bargain is right.
Did it win the festival?
It was a part of his album.
Okay.
His album, Country for Sale, 2019.
So it did win.
Yeah, I'm not so
no,
sure.
he's not sure yet. But
sure.
Regardless, my brother, you have hit it on the head. Country for sale. We court the money, the resources of homosexuals in this country for tourism. We are fearful of standing up to the Americans on any point at all because we want economic benefits and we worry about visa. And now they are testing us on something that touches some of the fundamentalist, Bible-loving principles that are dear to us. And let's see what the government is going to do. They've done something and there's been a response. And now it's out in the public. And the opposition has made it clear if it were them, they would have gone along. And let's see what the government does.
Hello? Malvern gone. Yeah, what? Country for Sale apply within by.
Good morning and welcome.
Hello. Good morning, caller. Welcome. You know, so.
Do you notice that this issue seems to defeat the telephone? Anybody who starts on it. Good morning. You are back. Thank you.
What I'm saying is that you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I agree with you. Brilliant move by the US, you said. Brilliant strategy.
The idea of presenting the same-sex couple as the ambassadors.
But you know what?
Now, you realize that what the children in Jamaica will hear, what conversation the children in Jamaica will hear daily, that a man have a husband.
I kind of wonder also how it is that they want this to be presented in the media. Is it that when they're out and they're photographed together, the person must be described as the spouse of so and so? I just kind of wonder what privileges, because some of the privileges are not for the government to give. The government cannot compel you nor me to embrace and receive someone and accord them certain social accommodations in a way that is contrary to my belief. They can't.
It's begun in the language, you know, the language. When they abolished pronouns.
Oh, you mean that one? Us, we, and them.
Yeah.
It's a
he and she has been abolished.
Yeah. And you know, Malvern, it's even more that is at play, because it's you abolish the female. So the transgender, the male, and them, yeah. But listen to this though, you know, because remember, you know, if you in the transgender you take the female out of the question, you move it to another thing, you know. You move it from the biosphere, some people say, into the metasphere. It's another level of argument that is happening, and they will become like robots. So
you understand you're about to see them, because
that's what you're trying to do.
He has been abolished too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that I'm important.
What a conversation.
Right.
But I do understand it's not so much the abolition of it, it is widening the class of what should be recognized. So now there is gender neutrality. You are whatever you say you are.
I feel like
and no man can test you on it. In other words, if I show up and say I am a man, no one can require me to display my proof of manhood.
Yeah. Well, the University of West Indies, which is pastor, that's we received your pastorship, right?
No, not University of the West Indies.
Remember, first set of degrees.
Yes, but not his pastorship.
Yeah, okay, that's where you received your partnership. But they have joined the
agenda,
the other side.
Mm-hmm.
But you see,
and so you can say you are whatever sex you are. Yes. But I dare say it is finished.
Not finished.
Well, listen, you know, but you must you accept
finished.
You accept though that it has to be dismantled before it can be rebuilt. That's why Percy say it's not finished. The dismantling, the breakdown, the destruction is a necessary part of the rebirth. In fact, it is the precursor to the rebirth. A man cannot be born again unless he dies. So I don't see these things in a negative way, you know. I see it as a part of the process of rebirth. And you see this thing that the American has done, which you call it a brilliant strategy. I agree with you. I said, I applaud them for doing it, because a man must be clear on what he means and who he is. And they are forcing Jamaica to confront our country and our lack of integrity.
That's what the force is.
So I said to Percy that they would have never go to the Afghanis with a same-sex union. They would never go to it, because they know, one, it would be a death to the people.
Gonna come.
They would never go to Saudi Arabia.
That.
Did you know that the war between Russia and America now? Are you aware of it? That is really about the same issue.
Yeah, man. That's what.
Gender thing.
Yeah. Russia ban it, you know.
Because Russia don't accept Russia don't agree with it.
You know what? You know that?
No,
yes, man.
Russia don't agree with it.
Yeah, man.
I know that. Well, I know that all wars, all human conflict, all dispute boil down to those kinds of differences. No matter how you dress it up with economic this and political that, when it comes right down to it. That is the essential war between good and evil.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Messing with the original or disobedience. That's what it comes down to.
And that's what it's in Jamaica now.
Yes, man, and we deserve it.
Time come.
Yeah.
Time come.
And when I say that this is a human rights issue like no other, that's what it is. You either believe in it and honor it, or you discard all of it. It's not I take this today and tomorrow I'll decide on what I'm taking. No.
Human rights means what that that a human being have a choice.
That human beings have choice, have inherent dignity, and are entitled to certain things. And those things come from God.
Thieves and murderers have a choice too.
Yes.
Do they not?
Yes, they do.
Yes, and it is in the right, I suppose.
Yes. And if
to choose the path.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thieves and murderers.
You don't get to pick and choose which sin is more favored than the other. If it's sin, is sin.
Yeah, but fundamentally we know that. But that about the human being or human being can choose to be a thief or a murderer.
Yes, or a homosexual.
Or a homosexual, yes. And so should that right be protected, you think?
Which right? The right to choose?
Yes. To choose between
well, let me put it this way, Malvern. It's not a matter of protecting the right. That right must be acknowledged and respected because it holds true for you in your moment of weakness or your moment of glory, as it does for the next man. And you can never make decisions on the assumption that you will always be the one in power, the one in control.
Yes.
Tomorrow you may be the one on the receiving end.
Yes, and and ultimately at the end of the day, good is good and evil is evil.
Yes, and we gotta teach ourselves how to recognize and differentiate.
Good is good and evil is evil, but remember the human rights come back from a source, and that has been my fundamental. He's the person. I mean, I'm saying the person, God, who has created us, says, "This is how I want you to live and to exist." Let's never forget that.
Yeah, that is why the mark of the beast will be a good thing.
It will
because it will make every human being decide themselves.
Yes, where it separates
where I'm going.
The one from the other. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for those reasons, I view these developments as being very interesting, and I hope that Jamaicans see themselves as having a place in the conversation, because today you're talking about, same-sex unions, but you know what? Yesterday they were talking about biracial marriages.
Yes.
Yesterday you couldn't present black man and white man as black man, white woman, whichever way you go, as a valid couple.
Yeah.
There were laws against it.
Yes.
So if you can identify a principle that can guide you through those issues, you're always gonna be in problems.
Yes.
And I said to Percy, or maybe I said it to Lowell, that the next thing is going to be religion.
It's coming to that.
Well, that's what the mark of the beast is going to say. Either you agree with taking the mark, or no.
Or you're excluded from all kinds of benefits and privileges.
You can't buy and sell.
You can't live. You can't trade.
You have another
Yeah.
call. All right,
my brother.
Don't forget, you'll be boarded.
Yes.
Refuse it.
Yes.
So things are coming to come.
Yes, man, it'll come. It's boiling. All right, my brother. We have another caller, so thank you. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection. Good morning. Big Truck is writing. He says, men don't want no women anymore. We can do without them, especially Jamaican women. They're too greedy, obsessed with aesthetic and emotional.
Big Truck.
Good morning and welcome. I hope it's Big Truck.
Morning,
Good morning, African. We're well. How are you?
Being nice and beautiful,
Oh, gosh.
Don't falling up your side, African.
I do it,
Oh, so it's just cooling the earth.
That's all thing now me them talk about. And I go on, I do.
All right then. Okay.
Nice and cool.
Yeah. Cool on the place, people.
Mm-hmm. And I hear your chicken in the background.
Out of the Spanish Town Hospital there.
Oh, that's where you are?
Huh?
Oh, no. I thought you were saying you're out by the hospital. Well, go ahead, speak.
No, when you see a new Spanish Town Hospital, they have some water around the place. And I talked to you about the Spanish Town Hospital and some water for a long time.
Remind me.
They like it has breed mosquito.
Okay.
So some people must go to go through it in the water to stop the mosquito breeding, but the problem need to remedy.
Or they put oil on top of it to stop the breathing.
So what's going on with the water? Is it bad drainage? Because this is not a beach.
It's a big dengue.
Oh.
Yes, but water collecting in an area that's not supposed to store water, that is a public health issue that should be resolved in and of itself. Not just handling the mosquitoes. Yeah?
Them should just remedy that.
That's what I'm thinking.
Long time it took, a long time it did it. It's dengue now. What next? I run the hospital out look more the same mosquito. Only for mosquito to cover the place to Miss Nettie.
Yeah, and it's interesting that it's happening at the hospital, which is supposed to be at the center of public health, and where them supposed to be preventing them causing it.
Only for money I push on the place, man. Spend some money to squad. It is spend not clean the place, not government. Why not clean the place?
But for that one, you don't even have to say government. The municipality.
The persons at the hospital must have funds to deal with it, and then the public health.
Them get money, man. Them get money for money.
But they're not spending it there. Yeah. African, what that part?
Only for money then get to deal with the thing. But you never hear when the money are there. When the money are talked about in the budget, you hear this big money in my budget. But when you see it materialize, you can't see it.
Or you can't see the actual spending on it. It's
want to know where the money are go, or some investigation to go on the people in budget.
Okay.
But something like that, my brother, is fairly easy to pursue and inquire into, because Spanish Town Hospital falls under an identifiable agency that can answer to what's going on there, both in the Ministry of Health and in the the
municipality.
Right, parish council.
None of them now come for your program, come answer these things.
We always invite them,
Them not coming.
And then counselors.
Yeah, and those people, yeah.
And then in the long run now, we have people that feel it. When the mosquito come and look you and get the dengue, you feel that. When it could have picked in, the water that they all around the bedroom.
Yeah. Well,
I don't feel the problem, what do with the money? What do with the money then? There's new money, so the new money look pretty.
Yes.
I want to put them down in the yard, look on them like man.
But you have raised an important point, African, which is the principle is if we take care of the small things, then and are diligent and faithful in it, then the bigger problems will be solved, because everything that becomes big was not dealt with when it was small. You ever see a pothole in the road?
Yeah.
I see you're driving and you see one little chip, and then if them did just patch that, it wouldn't become the crater that cause accident and thing for people.
And loss of life.
And loss of life. So that principle, Africa.
Are you in any way connected to that area, African, where the hospital is? You have family there, or you're visiting?
No, Miss Unity.
Okay.
I know my grandson with them, man.
I know, but you could have family there, because all these things, require more than the phone call on a program. It requires a letter, a visit, a word with the persons connected to responsible for the public health officer in the area, the parish council representative, however it gets on the agenda, because the problem is not the mosquitoes, the problem is the water that would be there.
Yes, in front of them eye.
Yeah. Where is it? It's on the hospital ground. Is it on the hospital ground itself, or is on a neighboring lot, or where's the water?
Up on the hospital ground.
Okay, so then there is the regional health
authority that can fix it, or the public health.
How much of them gonna go through oil night?
Oh, I see. Okay.
Why not remove it?
Yeah.
Or I mean, remove the water in terms of putting proper drainage. Okay, that's what you're saying.
That's the problem.
When the people go to hospital, them go to sick, and them not like to clean, around the place,
All right, that's a simple enough problem. I hope someone is listening who can move in that direction. And
listen to one more thing.
Go ahead.
Downtown there.
What you call downtown there? Carnation Market.
When last you go down there?
I confess it's not a place I've gone to more than once or twice in my life. I haven't been down there in recent times.
Miserable. I mean, let me tell you, I've been down there. Miserable. You don't want to go down there, man. Messy, dirty, water gap. Not all. And then with them selling all the fish and them something, they're horrible, man. Can you imagine them selling food? Yes.
So then how come citizens haven't boycotted going there? Okay, so I'm a country girl. I still have farming connections in my neck of the woods. Even chicken, I buy from people in my community of birth who raise chicken. I place my order, I go, I get it. I get my yam and other ground provisions whenever I visit my home. So I have never really had to shop at Coronation Market.
This minute, take a try and go look at our ground,
we go look. I'm telling you, out of my experience at times speaking, going down to the market.
And you go back down there?
Yeah, go back down there. I want at the place.
So you can make a connection and get your ground provision. Otherwise, listen, me that boycott it. I tell you the truth, because me not going to any place that nasty and dirty and look like I go and get sick from shopping there. Yes?
Look after the food.
Yes.
They must say, them not like it.
So they must boycott it.
Them we are do the business in the area or something. They must say, them not like it.
But if they don't know what?
They must cancel out of them.
Lord of mercy.
So them wonder how they do this. But look at the people in town, they not better, Miss Minette.
We can always do better. But I understand what you're saying. Because people need leadership and direction in order to figure out a better way. I understand that. And those among us who have the ability need to just stop letting it be somebody else's business and step forward. Myself included.
You want to see the wind in the water, you know? What you call the water, yeah?
Dirty water.
No, we call dirty water, man. The water we have come out of the cesspool.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. Yes, man.
Come on.
All right, African.
All right, time to take the break. Good time, 9:32.
Zongo, zongo, go, zongo, zeng. Zongo, zongo, go, zongo, zeng. I'm getting married in the morning. Hey, this is Kenya, man. And remember, the 31st of July. Remember, original, black and white, featuring Sniper International, with the man called DJ Kippo, DJ Snow, DJ Toppy, and it's gonna be at the Savage Pen Sport Complex off Garden Town Road. I found my dream. Yeah, man. Big up. Make it a date. Don't be late. 31st of July.
Half a tree, one and drive. Bossy, how we do I take taxi start?
Chano, I want to tell you, say, 2 months now, my transmission mash up, and I check everybody and can't hear nothing positive.
Yeah, hear me? Yeah, waste all that time I shop around and never call the experts. Winters Auto have them. Them have over 35 years of experience and them diagnose the problem and get back your transmission brand new. For them service excellent and efficient. Trust me, man. Yeah, hear me? Call them at 929-7040 or go to them at 106 Maxfield Avenue, Kingston 13 and talk directly to the boss. Just tell them I'm me, send you.
You big star. Yeah, man, respect my boss.
Try and call him, cause trust me.
What a relief.
Veteran Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Haggard Park Road. Veteran Printers, your best choice in printing.
Do you remember, Jolo?
Yeah, man.
Well, guess what? I allow it 4 to 6 every Friday.
Boom shot.
And best 100 FM.
Boom shot.
You ready?
Yeah, man.
You ready?
Yeah, man.
Well, I eat that.
I love it. Which part
Tune
today?
in. Tune in, beloved people. We're there on it. Bless you.
Best FM. Go.
Best 100 FM presents the Mature and Moving Up Show, Lascelles Butch Chen, on Thursdays from 6 to 9 p.m. Welcome to this pioneering radio program on our continuing work in our maturing years, compellingly defined, educate, and liberate the younger generation. Tune in and welcome.
Ew, baby, you sick? Drink this.
Strong back tonic wine. Oh, baby, you look like you want a sort out.
You think that's all Trang back good for? This delicious tonic wine has natural ingredients like Busy, Medina, Moringa, and more to strengthen your body so you can fight off anything, including viruses, where it sound like you catch. Available island-wide, all fine. Order at 749-1286 option 1 or IG Trangback TW. Trangback. Check me back for me.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Morning Connection. It's now 9:36 as we turn for home.
Sounds like a horse race.
Yes.
All right. Let me talk. No. You know, long day wait morning. Welcome
morning,
back.
Cruz.
Good morning.
Give me a time to talk, man. Your turn. Miss Minute. You know, say, from you went away, Miss Minute, I get through every morning without waiting. And you come back the first morning after waiting.
I don't know what that means.
Can't live with you, and we can't live without you.
I don't know what that means at all.
You know what I mean? All right. Look, we have to go try girl cat, boy cat now work.
Oh boy. All right,
because
that's true.
The people have to sell it. If Miss Minute, you and your husband supposed to. Your husband seems like a sturdy man can talk and object and criticize. Go down there, cause a long time ago go down, me about 6 years. But the liquor when we see on the news, it was on the news about the sewage running where people have to leave, stop, sell down there. And the road, not only sewage, the road dig up, it mash up underneath to go down the man and look on it and talk about it over the radio. Cause me hear this little guy come up all the time and I talk about when I go put waterfall, where they go do it downtown Kingston. And then now think about the little poor people and where I sell to make a money.
Wow.
When name again? The mayor.
So Williams.
Him, the man that he might have a list on. I know most people will have list on what about them anyway.
Yeah, I don't know what about them. But please don't say it. We're not gonna discriminate against
No
people.
man, me not say it. Miss Mate, did you know what they used to call gay people when I was a small child?
No.
No.
Pastor, I never know that.
No, tell us.
You didn't know that either.
No what?
So they speak
funny man.
What?
Funny man.
Funny.
Oh, yeah.
Funny. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And didn't know that they call comedians funny.
Yes.
Didn't know that most of them are really funny.
They're comedians.
So you're saying our comedians funny, and
not
they are
all of them, most of them, both local and foreign.
But that's their job to be funny.
I hope you get the point. I
hope you got mine. Point received.
Look, you have to talk in a parable,
Yes.
Then the suit will run you up by station or whatever. Yes, foreign, when you check it out, most comedians funny.
You know, one of the things that make radio work, especially free-to-air radio, is that persons are able to express their views because there is freedom of speech. But all these freedoms that we talk about, we enjoy them and we exercise them in a way that respect other people's freedoms and rights.
Yeah.
And there are some laws that are at work at 3 different levels. There is the law of God, which Percy and I talk about all the time. Then there's the law of man in his sovereign state where he governs things. And then there is a law which handles international, country to country relationships. 3 of them are in the same space, but there's an order of priority and precedence depending on what you're talking about. You are free to express your opinion on this program. And my job is to balance it so that when we speak, we don't convey hate, disfavor, and we stay within the bounds of what is permissible on public radio.
Yeah, man, I'm trying to get smarter when it comes to that, to balance it, because Jerry asked me to apologize twice on his program.
You never like it.
He asked me to apologize, and I didn't have to apologize. And so,
so far you have transgressed. Yes.
I want to hear the full truth. Where do you stand with this homosexual thing and what the U.S. government is forcing on us when it's against our law? You think we could have break? We can go feed them country, go break the line up. No about that.
All right.
They, pass to the embassy.
I'm glad you've asked, and because that kind of sense you were going to ask, I spoke about the 3 different laws that are jostling for priority on this very issue. The first thing is, because of our sovereign law, or sovereignty as a nation, the U.S. can't force nothing on us. It is a matter of what we choose to accept and what we can tolerate, whether it is in the form of repercussions, consequences, or however it may fall. So, on the first issue, where do I stand? Personally, on the issue of homosexuality, I recognize it as one of the issues that speak to the prevailing morality of a person or a community or whatever. I am guided by what I acknowledge and accept to be the original design that my creator intended. He intended for people to multiply by one gender in congress with the other gender of the opposite kind. And through that interaction, families are made, and families are necessary for the very existence of mankind. I also believe and accept that there are guidelines for relationship between human beings, and that there are some things you don't do with your mother, your father, your sister, somebody of the same gender as yourself, and so on and so forth. And those laws are necessary not just as a matter of purity, but again, for the continuation of the human race as a healthy species.
And that was given at the beginning.
And that's coming from the start. If you involve in incest, or if you molest children, or if you do various things that are sexually immoral, you are contaminating not just the gene pool, but also the social construct in which people live. Can you imagine your husband asleep with the daughter and asleep with you? And what order could you maintain in a household with all of that? So I am opposed to it fundamentally, morally. But I also believe, Cruz, thank you for giving me the opportunity to say it. I also believe that these matters of morality are not meant to be the subject of legislation. I cannot choose which sin should get the greater punishment. Man must be schooled and cultured into respecting the laws of God first and foremost, so they can live lives that are pure and healthy. US could never force me to accept anything that is against my morals, my religion, my conscience. So that's the first thing. They can't force us to accept a same-sex marriage. In the area of the international law now, there are some conventions and some principles, and there are some declarations to which we have signed, respecting human rights, choosing not to discriminate against people based on whether their sexual preference, their age, their ethnicity, their religion, their politics. So it's not up to Jamaica to get up today and say, well, our domestic law don't accept same-sex unions. What it means is that if the two people come here, and many of them come here, one would not be recognized as a spouse. Just like how if you and your common law girlfriend go somewhere, you can't say that is your wife and should be treated as your wife if you don't have no paper to prove it. That is acceptable in the country. But nobody would stop you from traveling with the person as your partner, as your friend, as your companion, or whatever word you want to choose. And if you are in some countries where certain activities are criminal and you're caught in that activity, well, God help you. Your turn.
Me want to go live in the country there. Me will go there, go live. Me and some people are ask. My learned friend Friday man in that Forza early program is asking some people if they would go and live in Cuba or Russia, because he wouldn't go. And he's telling me that he's a socialist. I have a problem with him.
A socialist who wouldn't go to Russia or Cuba?
No, he was asking, some people were criticizing certain things, and he was asking them if would they go there to live.
Yes.
He said he wouldn't go there to live.
Okay.
But that's not freedom.
Then that's the same freedom we're talking about.
But me I say to you, you come yesterday with that same argument.